What is up? What is up, party people? Yes, and you know it is Friday. I don't know if you don't got no job, whatever it is that you do, but you made it. Oh, shit, man. I need to decompress. I just got in traffic, everything. Just got the hell in. My man. A brother of a certain age in the house. How you doing, man? That was a good live of the day. Hope you stick around for a little bit. So we get into a lot of things. Got a lot of little things. I wanted to keep it somewhat light just because, shit, you know. Just rushed in not too long ago, got changed and everything. I even went out of my way to get the Chinese food because I was close enough in the area that I wanted. So I went out of my way to get that. Driving back, stuck behind a bus. It was pissing me off, making my day longer than I wanted to be. But, made it back here, man, to do this thing. Glad to hear it, man. Glad to hear it, brother of a certain age, man. So, if you are returning, welcome to the Last Call podcast. If it's your first time, just welcome, man. Please, new or old, check out some of the stuff that I have. I'm making a little catalog, man. Not as big as everybody else out there, but it's building as I try to be consistent, man. And just with the format, as I like people to know a little bit about what I'm trying to do here. I do a live once a week, which I'm still, I'm looking at some of the numbers, and it's such a weird thing. I know I start talking about the format, but I start talking about everything else. You never know what's going to hit or miss. Last week was a little bit more serious as I tried to cover some news stuff. And, I did a video probably a week before that on what the hell is that big girl's name, man? Dank the Moss. That was one of my most viewed videos to date. I was like, holy, I went to sleep, woke up. That shit was in the hundreds and then went over 1,000 or whatever views. Just me talking about the girl in the lift. I did one about Huey P. Newton a few days ago. It's in the teens. I spoke about a legend. So, it's not, I'm not throwing shade or just talking shit about anybody out there, man. But, it's interesting to see what hits and what I have to consider, what, social media and YouTube and with the audience. I wouldn't even say wants, because maybe you're not coming to YouTube to do some heavy thinking or discussions and stuff. Maybe you just need to decompress, kind of like I do today. Maybe you don't want anything too deep from the outside. Maybe just entertainment is your thing, which is all right, man. But I don't know if that's going to shape what it is I do, because I wasn't even actually going to make that video about Dank the Moss. One of my things is if it keeps showing up in my algorithms and I more or less get annoyed of whatever the topic is, I kind of look into it and I'm like, all right, let me throw 2 cents in there. If I have a perspective, is kind of what I do. So kind of back to what I was saying before I flesh this thought out, it's just the format of this channel. So I do a live once a week, which is this is that. Most of the times I try to cover about 3 subjects, maybe things going on in the news if it's important enough. Things in this YouTube streets. I'm not a big social media guy, but again, if it does somehow reach me, I might have to say a little something about it and then bring it to you on the podcast for the week. So the other thing I try to do is to have one video a week, which I already told you about. This week was Huey P. Newton. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we're, it's the 28th. It's the last day of the month. for February, so maybe I'll talk a little bit about that before moving on. I try to dig in the crates because I'm a music guy too, man. And you know, the feedback I get from that, people just like the tunes. My stuff is always on random, so it could be on hip hop, man. It could be on blues. It could be on the funk. If you saw one of the ones I put out this week, it was James Brown. I think from some sort of a compilation. Yeah, I used it for the thumbnail, of course, too, man. Um, James Brown, The Jungle Groove, it's called. And, he brought back the funky drummer from forgot where it was, 68 or 69. And it's been used and stuff, but in case you haven't heard it for a while, I like to bring that kind of stuff back. You know what I'm saying? And all of that as well, man. A brother from a certain age says, nah, keep putting your stuff out and going to be different channels and network. People will eventually get there. Appreciate it, man, and appreciate the support as well. So this is a little bit about what I do here and what I try to do here. Try to have a sense of humor. Try to have the knowledge to back up whatever it is that I talk about. And again, not the wisest person. I don't know what the quote is, but somebody says one thing, and I'm going to paraphrase it very poorly. But one thing about when you really start to learn, you start to learn how much you don't know. And I believe I'm in that process where I know some things and I could have some good discussions academically, and politically, even a little bit of religious, which I kind of don't care for too. But at one time, people would call me a reader and stuff, and I didn't feel like I was a reader. I just tried to satisfy the thirst. I wanted to know about so many things, man. I couldn't read enough. I couldn't get my hands on enough material. And that wasn't even early in my life. That was a little later in my life when I became somewhat a reader. I had like 3-4 books going on at a time. Never watched TV. Even my sister, who I'd consider a reader, saw the books I was reading. She's like, how the hell are you reading this? I'm like, it's like a TV show. You flip onto this channel, you're done. You flip this one on. You want to read a little bit about this one. And I got to say one thing, when knowledge connects, it's something special, man. And maybe being a late bloomer, what have you, I also had to learn. I felt stupid because all this time in my life, books have been laying around and I avoided it like the plague. To know that all this knowledge has been sitting around me, every house that I've been in, that encouraged me not too long ago. Well, yeah, it's going to be long ago. But even around college days and so, that I would always have a library. Now relax, not a mansion, nothing like that. But some area in the house where I could set up a little, what they would call a nook. Is it a nook? A nook. No, it's a nook. And some shelves and stuff like that where I could go select some stuff. Sometimes I'd be at the Barnes and Nobles just picking up some books, 3, 4, 5 books with the intention on reading it later. I haven't read much lately, and when I say lately, maybe a good few years since I have taken that time to sit down and open a good book. It always seems like fucking shit comes up, man. And nowadays, everybody's putting their shit in some videos and all that kind of stuff too. So you know what the deal is. Yo, big man, Tiz in the house. What is up? We got 2 of my favorites in the house, man. We got Tiz and we got a brother of a certain age. Must be doing something right for 2 of those brothers to show up on a Friday night, man. Appreciate you guys. So, man, I got you guys. At first, what I'm going to do is this. Because I always mean to do this. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. I'm, oops, already messing up. Rookie mistakes. I'm putting that up here. If you brothers want to jump on, we could shoot some shit. Actually, we could flesh out that idea that we were talking about the other night too, and try to set something up. I was going to do a couple silly little things just to make it a little lighter than it was when I was on here, man. Because I feel like I did damn near 2 weeks of some real shit. And even jumping on here tonight, you know, the media is flooded with this fucking Donald Trump shit. And Donald Trump is such a little bitch, dude. He's like his base likes him for saying shit and acting in a way that they wouldn't be able to vocalize or stand up to what they think the powers that be. That's a good part of his base. Some hillbillies, some closeted friggin' racist type guys who want to, you know, talk that sort of shit. And he speaks for a lot of those guys. So when he fucking says this shit and acts like a big man and stuff, he's the epitome of like, you ain't shit without your homeboys type of shit, you know? But he's just talking it up. And he's Putin's little bitch, and he's talking like that. You see, I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. Not built like that. I got about 5 minutes total. I'm here doing hangout. Yes, we know you got the sun thing, so that's cool, man. Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do there. You know, trying to do a strong hour and a half. Throw some stuff out here too. So yeah, appreciate you. All right, cool. Do whatever, man. Have me on in the background. Jump in if you could jump in. Brother of a certain age, you know you're always welcome, man. Both you guys. You guys were the final push to finally get me on here to do that. And while I say that I'm on here doing that, I forgot to wrap up my little thing of what I say when I'm on here. So if you like some of the content, you want to support a dude, man, make sure you like, you share, and subscribe. Even though I'm not even in the hundreds yet, my subscription is blowing up like more than it has a couple months ago. I started in the teens. Now I got like 64 people. It's kind of cool. I know people are in the thousands. I know I got nothing to brag about, but still, we're doing a real slow where we're capturing the real ones on this journey. So if you made it this far and you're new and you want to see what this goof does on this stuff, please subscribe, or fucking just subscribe anyway. The shit out there, women just showing their behinds and doing crazy shit like that, and they get subscriptions. They're the millions, man. For what? Brainless. So yeah, man, do me a favor. Please do that. Hit me up. I'm going to continue and try to be consistent with the thing as much as I can and do that. All right. So wrapping up a couple things that I did this week. I want to have you guys go ahead, and I didn't show a documentary. That wasn't it when I was talking about people. Beautiful Bearnice, what's up? Thanks for coming by, man. So I dropped the Huey P. Newton, and let me just slow it down for a minute here. Got to hit you with the pause because we got one of our favorite homies in the house over here from the Partners. Go check it out. He's going live, or they're going live tomorrow.
Don't
Saturday.
do that. Stop doing that. We don't need no promo on that. We cool with all little 12 people, man. We good. We got a nice little safe community. Everybody happy with it. We don't want no problem.
Well, anyway, it's 1/3 of the Partners of the or one of the 5 that we have on here. The man named Tiz. What is up? Oh, did I lose you already? What happened? Hello? Oh no. Did I do something wrong? Check 1, check 1.
Do nothing, I think.
Oh,
that's whatever I'm doing over here is messed up, not you.
Okay. Well, now I'm here.
Yeah. All right, you can hear me now?
Yeah. Good.
All right, cool. I ain't gonna take up too much of your time anyway. I literally just came on to salute you and brother of a certain age, man. him with the back-to-back lives
Right?
last night and night before last, you coming through with the live tonight. I'm just appreciative of you guys actually like leaning into your gifts and your gifts of gab and putting it to good use. Y'all are people that I hold in high regard when it comes to just analysis and just thoughts in general on life. So, you know what I'm saying? I love the fact that y'all are leaning into your gifts and actually sharing that voice with other people too. So
Appreciate it.
just keep rocking, man. Appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? Even when I be having these little, daddy duties and shit, y'all know I be on my grizzly over here with the little man. But
Yes.
I definitely even if I can't be in the chat active, just know, you know what I'm saying, y'all playing in the background so I can make sure y'all get y'all hours up and just so I can support in my own little way. So love
Beautiful.
y'all boys, man. Keep rocking out, man. Do your thing,
Appreciate
bro.
it. Appreciate
Appreciate
it.
you, man. Appreciate you for you and brother of a certain age for the content, man. Like it ain't much that I actually like to watch, and I enjoy y'all content. So y'all keep rocking out, man. Appreciate y'all.
Will
And I'm
do.
out.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Very nice. Very nice, man. And again, that's Tiz. He says he doesn't want all the promo and anything, but in the spirit of supporting each other and stuff. I wouldn't even be doing this if he wasn't on my back about starting it in the first place. So much appreciation to the partners and Tiz and just coming out to say a few words while we might be in the background and everything as well. And I'll definitely, as I do when I can, check out his live when he does that. And it's not even out of obligation. You know what I'm saying? Do you know how tough it is for me to find something that I truly like? That it doesn't mean I turned it on that day and I started following. It nips at you. It picks at you, and I'm like, kind of like that, man. I like what these guys are saying. When they have the chemistry together. You know. Um, oh, he's saying he doesn't know how to leave. I put Bearnice up. You left now. You found it out. I wasn't trying to kick you out. I just saw you hanging around. I was like, all right, you hanging out for a while or what? But yeah, man. And through the partners, I got to hang out with brother of a certain age for a while. Got to know him through a couple lives as well. And all this, man, like we talked about. Like we would talk about in another live. This all came from I fucking hate saying the name too, man. The Secktah. The multiple spellings of the sector. The Secktah. I put a little sector thing in there. I'll announce what I want to do with that in just a minute. And I hope nobody's tuning in because they want to see sector beef. This is actually some goofy sector shit that I hope people are going to be okay with when they see what I want to do. If we even get to that, man, we might get into some good conversations because I just feel like shooting the shit a little bit tonight as we decompress. And another one in the house, we got the man, a brother of a certain age, and like Tiz says, man, he was back to back 2 nights in a row, giving us some great. He's been gone for a while too. Don't let us forget that, man. He's been gone forever, man.
Yeah.
And we were wondering we had to go send out a APB to bring him back, and then he hit us with 2 back-to-backs.
I almost went again live today, but just timed and work out. I scheduled it. Well, I scheduled it private because I knew my time was gonna be dicey. Thumbnail, everything's ready. All I got to do is make it public, and the day just caught up with me. And then I was like, I'm gonna come and tap in with you.
It's like
And,
that.
if I got energy later, then maybe I'll do a live. But I think that was. I won't even get into what the topic was, but it was along the lines what I was the last couple of times I was doing, just more like, well, the last one I did, about our taking care of ourselves and each other. So that's the thing I was going to be on for a little while, but I got some other stuff planned, and definitely going to link up with Tiz, you, and Triggs behind the scene, and think we could do something real creative, even if more people want to,
Join in.
Because like I've said on my page too, like, I said on my page the other day, like, I've said, yeah, email me if y'all want to do some stuff, y'all want to collabs, and it's like a couple of people here and there, but for the most part, people don't. So I want because I want to include people, like the people that are showing up. I want to include them for ideas for one, but also two because I value their time. But so, but I got other stuff in other sectors that I'm doing, so I'll share that as those things come up. But I'm definitely gonna link up with y'all, man. Good brothers. We got real good conversation. We already proved that. We got
definitely a wide net. So a couple questions for you. In terms of some of your content that you've been putting out, I guess lately, I know earlier you said you don't want to be somewhat typecast of making everything all serious and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You want to have your fun and all that too. But are we seeing, from September to now, your reemergence on the scene and some of the topics for people that don't know if anybody's watching, I forgot the exact name of it, but asking for help. Strong people asking for help, right?
I'll check on your strong friends.
Check on your strong friends. Thank you.
Because I made the thumbnail. I over exaggerated it wasn't too much of an over exaggeration.
No, you definitely over exaggerated. I meant to talk about that bullshit. You have the nerve. You gave yourself pecs. Yo, check out a brother of a certain age. This dude goes crazy. Yo, you could embellish a few. You make your beard longer. You could even take out some of the grays, some of the shit. This dude is making himself Ronnie Coleman in the 80s look about him. Every picture. There's not one average picture. You got not even a 6-pack, an 8-pack, pecs, the shit, the thing between your neck and the shoulders, the traps, all that shit. The nerve you have. To say an exaggeration, nah. This is all out fantasy, motherfucker. so yeah, I just wanted to jump on that before. You're not gonna steam past that shit and say you're just making up stuff purposely. And I have a feeling most of the time goes to editing the muscles than anything else.
No, it's actually, I promise you that it's actually an AI tool, and you just prompt. You can prompt the AI tool. You just got to be specific. You know what I'm saying?
So you just put muscle.
You could say like, I think I might have put me as a bodybuilder. You know what I'm saying? I might have said, make me bald, dark. I'll take the picture because they can take your image, and then they base it off of that. But then you got to describe it, because I could show you some stuff that just by adding my name to it. Because you register your name, just by registering your name, they should be associating that picture.
Mm-hmm. Like a little AI generation.
Yeah, so the AI generator, it should prompt it to make me the proper color, but you got to be specific. Black or African or whatever, male, bald head, full gray beard, black frame glasses with clear lens. Like you got to be, because they'll give you their interpretation of it, and if you're really specific, that's how I make those. And then that thing that I use that Tiz always fucking with me about is
Zippity doo dah.
You can do like you could do different types of art, and I think that's like some kind of I forgot what kind of art it is, but you could do classic, you could do modern, you can do like noir. I made a couple of I didn't do the thumbnails, but I made a couple images for the how you pronounce it, noir.
Like the film noir.
Yeah, noir. Yeah, you can make images. You can make it your thumbnails a lot more interesting or a lot more creative, because what you find interesting is what you find interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting, and that is a part of you too, and some of the people that we have in the so-called sector, like YM, Josephine, they do that kind of stuff too with all the graphics, and that's kind of cool. So if that's a part of you, it shows. Mine's not even that thing. So if you see some of my thumbnails that I do, if I'm doing my videos, it's obviously for the current event. I have that person, like I got a Babyface on one, I did Huey P. Newton, so he's on one. But the ones that I do for the podcast, for these ones, I try to have like an album cover or something somewhere that I could insert Last Call instead of whatever the album is. I try to do that.
But that's good though. That's the, you have a style that's specific to you, and you like to but if you get these, you start fumbling around with these tools and everything like that, give you some idea, because you're a creative. Your mind is creative, so you might come up with some things, and you, so far, to me you haven't been afraid to just put your thought to whether it be paper or I don't know. Where's your ideas? You have bullet points on a computer screen or something like that?
I have them during the week, because I look at the news and stuff like that too. So if I'm looking at something, or if I'm on YouTube, I'm like, this would be kind of nice to talk about. And I kind of put it in a bank once in a while. I put it in like the bank my head sort of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Once in a while, yeah. The first few, I made a few bullet points on just some loose leaf paper.
Yep.
I mean, even, in my professional life at work and stuff like that, if I'm going to contribute in a meeting or I got something to say, I'm never really writing out sentences and stuff. I just kind of put down a word or two that I know is going to expand a few paragraphs.
It allows you to go. You got that. Yeah. No. So from your mind to whatever your creative process is, whether it be, like you said, notes, bullet points, to actual action doing the show. To me, you haven't seemed like when we first were telling you to do, you're talking about it, he was like, when you ever see that when the person is acting like they can't sing and they're like going shy up to the mic, like, no, do you start singing? It was kind of like that.
Yeah, then like, no. You're like, damn. The back of the church high.
Yeah, I really don't sing, and I don't. And then you get up there and start blowing. So yeah. Pause.
It might be some of that, but I think some of it was the technical stuff. Like, if I was going to do this, I have to do it. Like, I have to make sure I do it weekly. I have to question whatever material. I have to know that I'm putting on somewhat of a presentation. And, I know the difference between what people are doing. Like, you put a lot into it. I'll compare a lot to Information Man and even Lennon Honor as well. But Information Man, he's a tech guy on that sort of stuff. So on top of having all the graphics, he does the bells and whistles. What is Tiz is talking shit over here.
Okay, I'm fine for real now.
What the hell is Tiz doing?
He in the mirror looking at himself like that.
He's over here. I'm trying to talk to you, and I see I need help. What are we gonna do? What do you want us to do? I don't know exactly where you live. I don't know. I could send a strongly worded email.
I need help. Oh no. Okay, I see. He's talking about he need that program. He went. Go up higher. Go up to like before I need help. See, he gonna ask for some help, and then right after that, talking about he gonna make fun of me and zippity doo dah. Zippity doo dah Tiz is gonna be. I could actually take, because I could find an image of Tiz online.
Yeah, you can find Tiz.
I can make an AI Tiz.
Tiz is not a shy guy. He likes to be seen and heard out there in there.
Yeah, one of my favorite shorts he did is when he was with his son. He was like, I'm frolicking. You ever see that?
That's the only time you could get away with that, by the way.
I'm just acting out the scene.
That's the only time you can get a pass, when you're frolicking with your son.
Listen, the actual execution and the theme of it is really actually a great message. But I'm a goofy guy, so I'm like, I'm looking for you to trip over a little wire so I can laugh. And Tiz on his short with his hair blowing in the wind, yelling, I'm frolicking.
Frolicking. That is it. And that's when he comes on. And then Tiz makes appearances when he's really pissed off. So when he's really happy, and then when he's really pissed off, he has something to say.
This is what I was saying. Like the shit is that's an excellent a father and a son. I'm all for that. So with the actual the actual execution was beautiful and the messaging was beautiful. I'm a jerk. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't begun to people haven't begun to see my full personality yet. I got so much more. It's just getting used to being on camera and acting a fool sometimes.
I hear you. I hear that. But I want to tie a couple things kind of back up. So, we were talking about me, doing this. I've gotten to a point, through college and professionally being able to speak to people and being comfortable and feeling like what I'm saying is valid, and not even just being a person, because, people just talk to be heard. They like the sound of their own voice and shit like that. But to make sure that you actually have a real contribution and you're not just talking shit. And part of that is I learned that with a circle of friends that didn't let you get away with shit. Some real academics, man. Some real people that when we sit down and have conversations, and you're saying you're angry or whatever. Why are you angry? What is it? What's making you angry? And you could say whatever, if you were cut off in traffic or whatever, and they won't even let you get away with that. But why were you really angry? Why? And then you're digging shit. People need friends like that.
Yeah.
Rather than social media friends where they give likes and support to people who would say bullshit because they already tailored the response that they want back by their friends. So they're telling them a bullshit story so they know what they're going to get back, And I think that's a good thing about what we have here when we have our discussions, and especially the partners, when we agree or disagree on anything. And even disagree is a strong word, because we've gone back and forth with things too, but it's really just different perspectives. I wouldn't say too much disagreeing is going on with all of us. It's just different perspectives where it's all damn under the same umbrella,
Right.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, I would say that's something that they created. They say you teach people how to treat you. So by watching them and seeing how they've created that atmosphere where, we're gonna dig deep into the topics, we're gonna have these conversations. But I'm just not going along because I love you. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop you in your tracks. I'm gonna say it may get heated. There's gonna be some jokes. There's gonna be some shots taken throughout the 3-hour show. It's gonna be opportunities. Hour one, he gonna go back and throw it. Hour two, but the atmosphere is free flowing. So that's why I understood his frustration with people wanting to come along and mess that up by doing goofy stuff. So,
that is some
because
bullshit.
he allows for you to be yourself. Just be yourself. And just don't harm me and don't harm the channel. You know what I mean? Like, but you can still be yourself and you could be within reason. You don't have to be a complete jackass. So, but they create that atmosphere, and then you feel comfortable doing it, and they condition and they can take it, which is very important. So,
right. Plus, I like what they do to the partners. They do have, as crazy as they think their whole format is, they do have a format. I like how each of them bring up an idea or something to discuss or a question, what have you. They all go round robin, to answer the question very thoughtfully, answering the question well. The regular things that they do. His got his like top 3 and that stuff. I'm always interested, and even times I think, oh, Face is going to say this. He might say something completely different. I'm like, oh shit, that's perspective.
Yeah. Or the best parts of those shows is when, some of the best parts is when somebody doesn't even actually have anything. They just laughing so much at it. They, like I don't even got nothing to say. It's authentic. You know what I'm saying? Within the format, they allow for that authenticity, and when Tiz is on one because he's taking over the show.
The whole show.
He
Nobody else is talking. He might turn the camera on.
Yeah.
He's looking right at the camera.
definitely sitting up in his, getting up into the camera. He might got a little something in his hand and puffing or whatever. But yeah. But I'm saying, but the personality of the show though. You can tell the personality. Face is fun. He's the straight man comic. You know what I'm saying? The shit that he says that's funny is no emotion. You know what I'm saying? Whether he's upset or he's telling the joke, to me, he's a straight guy where he's saying it and the shit is funny as hell. And Pat is I think they all the same age, but Pat seems like the younger, the guy, the person that keeps everybody young, that might remind us to have fun.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? While we going along with this stuff.
Wait, you're saying Pat, right?
Yeah, Pat.
Okay, yeah.
Pat, he's the youth. Even like I said, they all basically the same age. He's the guy that reminds us, we having fun too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We getting older, but we having fun. So but with those three personalities, and then like I said, the most important thing is they allow that expression without.
Yeah. And he's a creative type too, as well. On that. I'm sure they all are, but Pat, and I jokingly always refer to that as nerd stuff. But I totally respect that he has this thing and that's what some people are on. Because I have to ask him about it. One of the shows, Tiz took off and then Face took off. So it was me and Pat. And that's another awesome thing. Any one of them could leave.
Oh, yeah.
Or two of them could leave. And I could still have a conversation with one of them. And so I'm like, Pat, I kept seeing The Boys show up in my Amazon Prime, and I never knew what The Boys series was, but it looks kind of interesting, superhero stuff. Yeah. And automatically I'm like, Pat, what is this? Pat goes right into the shit like he studied it.
He is you know what I'm saying? He's a comic guy. He's especially the intricacies of the backstories, the different comics. So me watching a movie, like I can give a review of a movie that's something like, a Marvel movie or DC. I can give a review of it, but there's some people who see the things you don't see because they know all the ins and outs.
The whole universe. Yeah.
For him to do, I didn't see that. I gotta go. If you have that show in the timestamp, I want to see that. But there are people that are able to that, and that's Pat, man. He's you know what I'm saying? He remind, that's that childhood, like that's that. And I'm not saying he's innocent because he got his jokes and the shit that he do too.
Oh, he sure does.
But I'm saying that's that childlike innocence that we all had until people in the world decided to tell us otherwise. You know what I'm saying? We had that childlike optimism and fervor for stuff that's fun. And then all of a sudden, like, well, you got to be a man, you got to do this, you got to do that, you ain't supposed to laugh, you ain't supposed to cry, you got to be, you know what I'm saying? So I like that he does that.
Indeed, man. Indeed. Yeah. They all have something. It's the perfect combination, in that crew. So definitely some cool stuff there. What does Tiz say? Pat can tell you anything comic book related. Tiz, sports and culture. Yeah. Face, combat sports and law. Yeah.
Okay.
Face, when he finally he'll stay quiet for a bit, and then he will come in with the 1-2, like, oh shit, he really grounds whatever the conversation is about, like and it's like Tiz could go on a rant, Pat could go on a rant after, and they'll go back and forth and shit, and whatever the deal is, Face is silently waiting in the corner for his time to just unlock some knowledge on people, man. And it's like, yo, so yeah, just perfect contribution. It really is an amazing thing that those three guys, Tiz could have just been like, hey, I'm doing this, whatever the deal is. I'm sure they had to have some sort of meeting before, like, hey, I'm trying to do this shit, this is what it's going to be, blah, blah, blah. You guys down? Yeah, and then brought it to fruition.
If you're interested, I did interview those guys on one of my old podcasts when I was just doing audio.
Okay.
And, I did audio. I did an audio one and a video one with them, actually. Um, and I got to tell everybody, them guys gave me like 4 or 5 hours of their time. Who does that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like both, you know, they like, yo, what you want to talk to us about? I said, man, I want to interview y'all. Dudes interesting. This is, you know, fairly early. This is a couple of years ago. But like you said, they definitely had they definitely talked about it and everything. Talked with the family, the whole story about it. And yeah, Tiz is like me. Me and Tiz could, you give me the same impression. You probably could talk to a tree stump.
Yeah. The conversations I have in my head, it's just like, I'm glad nobody's talking to me. If that's fucking up my conversation with myself right now.
Yeah. You remember in Martin when he was trying not to eat and Gina put his mother's food all over his mother. It was like, was it Thanksgiving? It was one of them times. Gina
was it my mama bird? Was it that one?
No. The one with his mom. He had my mama biscuits.
Yes.
Remember he walked by the food because he was you know what it was? He joined her gym. He took over and started like teaching the class and everything. And then so to get him back, she got some greasy food. But you know how I was saying how we had talked to a tree stump. And you know how he was just standing there and all of a sudden he looked at the food. He said, "What? You said something?" Like nobody ain't talking. That's us. We walking past a tree stump and be like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" A tree stump just being a tree stump. We want to have a conversation with it. So Tiz, like you said, just came on and did his thing.
Indeed. What's up, Emmanuel? Emmanuel Briggs in the house. Good to see you, brother.
Peace.
Yeah, but it's you know, besides maybe looking crazy and stuff, but there's a certain therapy to fleshing out your thoughts.
Absolutely.
With that also, you know what I'm saying? So even if I do that, if I'm sitting down, if I'm at the gym, I'm chilling between reps or something like that, yeah, I would have a lot of thoughts. I'm a person that thinks about the past a lot, maybe too much, maybe in an unhealthy way. Not that I dwell on it or harbor anger towards people, but just situations that I think I could have handled better, or that's been the basis of my articulation in everything. I think you mean good night, Tiz. Good morning, fam. All right, Tiz, man.
Yes, sir.
And we will see you tomorrow.
I still think about you. Are you familiar with baseball at all?
Yeah, a bit. I was really into it.
Okay, so cool. You're gonna get this reference. I still think about when I was in Little League at the All-Star game. I'm 51. I was Little League ended at 12. Then you went to Pony League in Connecticut. So I still remember playing in an All-Star game, striking out on a 3-2 pitch, looking with the bases loaded, or to strike right down the middle.
Yeah,
I still remember that. Like, and I'd be like, yo, why the fuck didn't I swing? And then I gotta remind myself, yo, that was a while ago, bro.
Yeah,
we moving on. But I still remember that, and I gave you something very specific for me to, so you know I remember that.
Right. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe revisiting is like a new perspective, because I'll even equate that, like, if you go back and maybe read a book that you've read before. You know, there's a couple of stages in my life where I went back to read the autobiography of Malcolm X a couple times. When I really started reading, you know, for the first time, I think that was one of the first books that I completed, besides some little silly books. It's the one that I stayed up about 2 or 3 nights in a row. Not that even that I refused to sleep. I couldn't sleep. I had to get to the next few chapters. Because growing up as a teen, you know, I was part of that hip hop, Black Power, blah, 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 the medallions, the leather medallions with the Africa, blah, blah, blah. And what I knew and what I liked about Malcolm X was his fiery speeches and how he would take down the devil one at a time. But reading was way more different than that. I really understood the man. I understood where he was coming from. I understood it wasn't just all about firing off some speeches and some words and cutting people down that way. It's how he was cultivated to be that person and to actually have the knowledge. What I'll try to bring this all back in a way. What the kids are learning today and what we see, and we'll take like Tupac is a good example for, I guess, this generation too. Now, if you know Tupac, if you really know Tupac, and 80% of his content is some good, damn near spiritual, healing, gospel, intelligent type music. About really 20% of the stuff that he put out is that so-called gangster shit.
Yeah.
That last out, or even getting into shit, the Machiavelli album, he was getting back to himself.
Mm-hmm.
He did Bomb First. He did a couple little things in there, but he did White Man's World. You know what I'm saying? He did some other stuff was really speaking about his past and stuff like that. Now, if you were from around there and you understood the whole body of work, where the generations after didn't get that gospel, they didn't get that uplift, keep your head up, this, that, the other. They just got the hit them up.
Yeah. I think
those are the ones that went off like that. Yeah. So now their whole thing is that hit them up type, rather than the soul food that he provided. You know what I'm saying?
I would say that honestly, when I was consuming Tupac years ago, I gravitated towards that. Oh, now the first album was Tupacalypse Now, right?
Yes.
Like Something Wicked, Life of a Soldier, Young Black Male. Like yes. his first album was pretty much Trapped. Like he you know what I'm saying? So it was a lot. It's a lot, like you said, about 80% of it. But even the gangster shit he did, like on his first album, it wasn't from a standpoint of who he necessarily was. It was a storytelling and then consequences at the end of it. So yeah, I agree. He's known for Hit 'Em Up because beef stuff. They're still doing movies, and I've seen probably about 5 or 6 different Biggie, Tupac biopics, biographies, movies. There's one of these. It might have been Netflix or one of these shows. They did like a 7-8 mini series, episode mini series. So
yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
That's what lives on.
Right. And I hate a couple things. I hate that Biggie and Tupac always have to be mentioned together. They're different. History should show Biggie, you can think he's as great as he wants to, but as a hip hop artist, as a party guy, blah, 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 and some pretty good lyrics, but he is no Tupac. Tupac is legendary. He is an icon. I believe I was debating with my cousin some while back, and I made a statement like, I think Tupac was the last in living legacies of the civil rights movement. And yeah, like that. My cousin was like, oh, you're bullshitting, whatever the deal is. So we had this talk, and it wasn't like I was trying to prove a case of that. But if you look down at the lineage of activism, the Fred Hampton, the how it trickled out and what it trickled down to, Malcolm X, the Black Panthers directly came from Malcolm X. In terms of any leaders like that, I personally believe, and I'm not putting him on a pedestal or anything like that. I'm talking about like the bloodline of all of that, I believe went into Tupac. And I think whether it would be in entertainment or even politics, because it was whispered that when he was going to make a blast at this entertainment thing, get that over with, and maybe do some political sort of stuff. I think he would have been the last to seriously make that impact. Which, on top of that, I believe that's kind of why he had to go. Like everybody did, like Huey P. Newton did. After the smoke cleared and he could really do some real stuff like Malcolm X was going to do. When Malcolm hated everybody, he lived. When he did his pilgrimage to Africa, came back and he called his white brothers and sisters with blue eyes brothers like him because they drank from the same cup at Mecca and all this sort of stuff. And he thought about his approach. He wasn't like lovey-dovey everybody, but he said in his autobiography also, correct me if I'm wrong there, Emmanuel, he says something like at one of his speaking engagements at one of the universities, a white girl had asked him, what can I do for the movement? Came sympathetic like a liberal kind of deal. And at that time he said, nothing. You can't do anything. He gave her in her tracks. Later on, near the end of his life, he said, I wish I could go back to that girl and include her in what I was doing at the time,
Yeah.
And that unity is where you had to go, man.
Yeah. So I think probably why it gets lost with Pac is because of the other stuff. True enough, nobody's perfect, and if you caught me on some of my bad days, or if somebody knew everything about me, you might have a difference of opinion about how I got to where I am now, as far as how the things that made me the way I am. But living your life in the public and seeing and having people see, the negative it's just hard for a lot of times for people to live down, and it makes it easy for them to take these things like he's not one particular thing.
Right.
But it's easy to take something, and if you continue to, if the image of Tupac is, if every time they show him he's hyped up, he's yelling, he's beefing, or every time you hear reference to him, it's like the East Coast, West Coast thing. Him and Biggie are the face of that, or Puffy and Suge, but a lot of it is, Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah.
So those are the things, you think about it. Those are the things that, like we were talking about going back to our childhood or youth and remembering things we did. And I talked about the baseball, like those things leave a lasting impression on it. And people actually love to still argue about, shit. Like these guys they're not alive anymore. Both of their parents are gone. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just enjoy the music. Why do you care who's better?
Yeah. Yeah. And in one case, I think, they are both great. But if you're talking even in that space and you keep bringing up like a Biggie with Tupac, I think it somewhat dilutes what Tupac is to the game, more or less, And a lot of people would argue that also, though. They're like, yeah, they're both rappers, but Pac was really an icon.
They talked about different stuff, though. Like maybe Pac might talk a little bit about some of the same stuff, but Big had a particular lane he was talking. Tupac maybe dabbled in that lane, but that was Big's lane. Big didn't dabble in anything that the other 80% of what Tupac was doing. Big didn't dabble in any of that. So they're different artists, but when depending on how I'm feeling, I can't go wrong either one. But I have to say that Thug's Mansion is probably my favorite Tupac. Even when they added Anthony Hamilton to it, that's probably my favorite song. The lyrics, both verses, but especially that second verse when he's painting a scenario in heaven with Sam Cooke and Marvin Gaye. Man, I can't think of a better song or a song that elicits more emotion for me than Thug's Mansion.
I'll tell you, man. Well, it wasn't even my selection, but some years ago, we played that. I think it was the one with Nas, because there's a different version of that too. We played that at my cousin's funeral, and let me tell you, that it hit hard. It hit especially hard because I think there's like an acoustic one with the guitar and everything going in.
Yep, with the Nas but just to open it, we want to be at a place where we free and we just want to. You know what I'm saying? Is there a place for me? Like, it's just one of them things where that's real, and that's real to a lot of people. You know, they
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. So that's what makes it even. But everything about it, the way the lyrical arrangements, the Anthony Hamilton hook took it over the top. But
Mhm.
that second verse, talk
It's like
keep,
I wonder if heaven got a ghetto, like
yeah,
that one
yeah.
too. You know, it's funny that you even mentioned, you know, some of your favorite songs of Pac and stuff too. And I'll wrap a couple things up before I get to one, because I was listening. I listen to Pac like on rotation a lot of times, but sometimes a little more than others as I'm driving by.
I
But
need it.
even you saying like they're both dead, they're out of here, like that was in 96, 97, and how many, like over 30 years or whatever, you know, that is. And one of the things I think about is like, you know, we were kids damn near 20 years or whatever after the civil rights movement. You know what I'm saying? I gotta, you know, if you believe in conspiracies, whatever the thing is there, for it to die out somewhat and fizzle out, maybe not the spirit within people, but the content, the importance of it, the footprint it should have left. Something happened in there, and yeah, the crack era would be imposed in society and stuff. That was a very strong movement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And by the late 80s, 90s, you heard a few clips and whatnot, but society did a good job of suppressing that information.
Yeah, there was from the guns from the guns to the drugs. There's a lot of stuff that there's documentaries on the stuff now, but there wasn't back then, and there's not now really there's no kind of outrage. These are just people
Yeah,
telling
okay.
they're just telling these stories, and as a matter of fact, that our president was involved with guns and drugs in Iran. It's, it's like, or Afghanistan is where the uh, the what is the poppies? Poppies, not the poppies. What is
The Contra scandal?
opium?
Okay. All right.
Afghanistan with the opium, the Iran, like that. We are so heavily involved in the effects that has on us. Um, there are people that talk about it, but it's people want to know. I don't know. People want to talk about Madonna being old and being in shape,
Yeah.
and you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying. People, because listen, these guys are businessmen. So if they put something out and the people weren't watching it,
Mm.
um,
Mm.
they wouldn't keep playing it. The problem is they have think tank and research people who know what we consume, and they know, and
Absolutely.
they market it, and so that's where that's where it gets lost at. Even if you're screaming, even if you last call are screaming from the rafters, what is actually getting in front of people's eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. So back to a couple things, if we can. Um, so with that content, so excuse me, is it your content lately? We were talking about what is causing you, in your comeback, so to say. I don't even want to say it like that, but sorry, lack of better words. Um, to stay on these topics, on this stream of consciousness that you have. Um, what is it lately, or is this just something you felt, or is it part of a bigger plan?
So a couple of things happen with me. Like a lot of the stuff that I do, I already had planned. I just haven't executed.
Okay.
Just to be honest, I haven't. Like, there's been times where I got like, oh, I got like 2 hours, and I'm like, nah, I feel like doing it now. Go up to go live, saying I don't do it, but then I come with another idea, and so if I show you my notes and the shows, the bullet points, you will see that I have a bunch of these things back there. But usually, what happens is something happens in my day to day, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I go on my, oh shoot, I was talking about this, and then so that's what happened specifically, and yesterday, and then today. What I was going to do had a lot to do with but what I'm going to talk about next, if I don't move on to the next idea, is just people being there for each other, as far as um like, so I'll just tell you the interaction that happened. I'm gonna tell it again on the show, but I went to the supermarket the other day, and there was a guy standing out on my way out. He was at the entrance side, and he was asking people, and I saw him talking to people. I don't carry cash on me, and sometimes I'm just, sometimes you just like, you know what I'm saying? You could be polite. You could just be like, no, and just, or you can ignore them, or you could whatever. But this particular day, I just kind of walked a little bit close to what was going on, and I heard him ask if they could get him something from the supermarket. So that changed the game for me, because I was like, oh, he's not looking for money. He's looking for some groceries.
Yeah.
Shit, he could sell them, whatever, but who's really buying groceries from a man off the street? They're gonna assume that it's stolen or whatever. So anyway, I was like, come on. So I went to talk to him, and I said, hey, what is it that you want? He was like, I don't know, man. Whatever you want to. I said, no, I'm gonna go shopping for you. What do you want? And he picked he was like, vanilla ice cream, yogurt, Doritos, and I said, what kind of yogurt, man? He's like, strawberry, and I said, okay. He's like, the Doritos, nothing spicy. So
all right,
he get nachos, and all right, cool. And then I was like, anything else? And he was like, some blue cheese dressing.
all right.
That was his list. So I went and got the 4 things, and it got me thinking, like, I don't know what he's gonna do with this. I don't know. There can't be a recipe, but
it's very specific too.
Yeah, it's very specific. But I had put him on the spot, like, and the last thing he said was blue cheese dressing. And if I really thought I was like, yo, there has to be somebody's videotaping this. But when I got him his stuff, and then since he did that, when they asked me if I want to change back, I got $5. So I gave him his blue cheese, his Doritos, his vanilla ice cream, his strawberry yogurt, and $5. And then he was kind of like, didn't want to take it. I was like, nah, just take it. He took that. Got this little suitcase with where you lift the arm up to make it so and he put his stuff in there, and he walked off. And it was just like, it just made me think of, like, I was already annoyed when I first saw him.
Yeah.
It didn't cost me nothing to help dude out, and I had it. So
yeah.
So that's why I was like, okay, I'm gonna do something about that, about us being there for each other, and us supposedly, we're supposed to be helping each other. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I've been in situations where I maybe gave change on one corner, and by the time you walk down the other corner, there's another one. You're like, damn, and they're looking at you like, why can't you? Who do you choose? How do you choose it? Definitely, especially as money's more tight these days, you can't just be throwing change out and being like, you gotta understand. Even homeless people's prices went up, man. It's not even changed. It's like, you got $5. People come to you with that, with bills now. Change don't do it.
Hit the cash.
And I would do that. There's a couple restaurants, a couple chicken spots that I go into. Be some homeless people. There's one cheap one. They changed places, but you could have gotten a good meal for like $5. Beans, rice, chicken, charbroiled, that sort of stuff. So it would be enough for me to pick up another one if it was all good, or I just got paid or whatever, to do stuff like that too. And people appreciate those things that aren't out there scamming. And it's tough. It's tough how you decide, how you're going to do that. Maybe some extra change that you were going to spend on, I don't know, a lottery ticket, some soda. Maybe you're not going to get the extra large today, and you could, here you go, that sort of deal. We can do this sort of stuff to help each other. But as I'm stuck with other things, like in the profession, I'm always thinking about a system, like, the typical give a man a fish or teach a man a fish, eat for the rest of their life sort of deal. But it's tough. You're like, well, I can't help everybody like that. What am I going to do? I'm going to donate to one of these charities. But then one of these charities, they're only really obligated to pay 50% of their earnings or their fundraising stuff to the actual cause, while people have administrative fees, well, exorbitant, and administration fees, that aren't like a what the hell am I nonprofit organizations, right? So it's tough, man. It really is tough, to do that. So it all boils down to you got to do what you can.
Yeah.
Right. Emmanuel says, offered a homeless lady, see, $5. She told me that wasn't enough, so I took my money back. I can't blame you. I can't blame you. Because, people see, I've been in times, man, people might see you driving a car, this and that, but you may have scraped up your little last pennies to put something in the tank in order for you to get to work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not all about sometimes having that car and having those so-called luxuries that you need for work are hurting the shit out of you sometimes.
Absolutely. Whether you, especially if you got a tight budget, one little extra trip, one little, hey, last call, could you give me a ride? One little extra drive that you wasn't really planning for.
Yeah.
Could throw everything off. And simply, I do a lot of going to work and coming home, going to get my kids, coming home, going to the gym, coming home. Like, I don't, and everything is probably within, I would say, like I said, everything that I'm going to is 3 miles or less. So those places I got to go 3 miles or less. So I don't do a lot of that. So I can mitigate that, but one, extra shopping trip or one something else that I got to do might affect me if I'm being conscious, helping somebody else, or keeping my money in my pocket.
It reminds me, I used to back in the day around college time, I have to park somewhere. I take the train into the city, get out the train, go above ground. But before I did, I used to buy a coffee and like a banana bread or whatever like that. One morning I was like, I could do without it. Gave it to this homeless guy over there. Next day, kind of hesitated, but I was like, all right, let me give it to him. Man, I had to change my route. I got off the next stop for the rest of the summer. Went through the back door. so I did not. The money was getting tight. I was just like, yo, like I just do not have it. And homeboy was kind of expecting it, and I guess it was kind of the way you give up some of this stuff. Like if you give it up, like, hey, no problem, kind of deal.
Yeah.
But I should have showed some hesitation. Like, right, today, but
yeah. But listen, you did it a couple of days in a row, so my man was like, oh shit. Nah, I'm good. My man I'm gonna go last call, go have a coffee and some banana bread for me.
Right. He left the spot. People like, I'm gonna go get breakfast.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no more dry. They got the off-brand oats of cherry. No more dry oats of cherry for me. My man
is getting top brand, top shelf banana bread.
Warm. It was probably warm too.
A little bit, yeah, man.
Nice warm, banana bread.
I went a whole stop extra just to get out of that.
Struggle with that decision where you're like, you know what, I can't do it today.
Yeah, I'm really hungry too, man. Like I bought the motherfucker.
You ain't supposed to starve yourself while you feeding everybody else. Yo, my man,
look at Emmanuel. Look at Emmanuel. He's like, it's 3:30. It's like this nigga's late.
you can't trust niggas for nothing.
Does he have the day off?
He gonna be late to work. This is some bullshit.
Oh shit. Oh man. I kept looking out the window. Eventually he got the hint, man. I'm not even sure if I went back to my regular way. I just walked the extra block. I was like, fuck it.
He was mad at you too. Went back, yo, you believe he ain't show up today?
Yeah, because it's not a coincidence that they're going to be showing up like, there he is. Just showing up on your stuff, dude. But yeah, it's, we joke, but it's life. It's also sad too, because you're thinking, man, they just have there's nowhere things when you think you've been in places in your life where it's like, damn, I'm one paycheck away, dude. Like shit, you know what I'm saying? That could easily be me, or somebody I know or love, and it doesn't mean they have to be cracked out or this and that. It could just be that.
Yeah, I mean,
bad decisions.
Some the research that I was doing for my show, that the next show I'm doing, talked about what was it about? Homeless. I wanted to define homeless. Homeless can be all of that, be all the things you think of, but also just sleeping from couch to couch. Yeah. So living paycheck to paycheck, one, you know what I'm saying? Not, you might be able to recover from a layoff because there might be packages and bonus, and unemployment benefits and stuff like that. So you might, but you won. Connecticut is at will state, and that means you can get fired. They don't have to give you reason to fire you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So you won at will decision from somebody to just messing up everything you got going on. So yeah, man. Stefanie had mentioned about housing. That's one of the things that my research was showing me too. Some of the solutions, affordable housing and things like that. And I found this affordable housing development video from my city. I'm gonna play that, include that in the show to kind of touch on the fact that housing is one of the answers for like homelessness and stuff like that.
Absolutely, man. Just for some place to stay, is like. And you can't even this inflation thing of how things were like in the 1950s and stuff. I don't think it's a simple conversion as like bread was a nickel, so times that by blah 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 blah. I think there's so many other factors of that play into it. You need insurance. If you're renting, you need rental insurance. You need all sorts of insurance. You live in the South or wherever, you need flooding insurance. Insurance isn't going to happen. Then you need. It's two separate ones that people aren't getting if their house floods, sort of deal, to get their coverage and all that kind of stuff. I was like, I think Stefanie saying the whole entire South is at will. And if when was the tipping point for that? When did that really become a thing? Is there a case, or I would think for states, obviously it benefits them. It keeps the competition going. It makes, I would imagine, more people more compliant, at work, more complacent to kind of stay in line for that matter. Is there a case or something that we should be aware of that makes that a thing for a certain person that maybe fought for that? Because that's that's anti-union, that's anti-people.
I was gonna say I'm suspecting somebody that was anti-union, somebody with some money and some power. That's an interesting rabbit hole to go down. Because man, and even though like I'm not living paycheck to paycheck at this particular time in my life. I have, and man, you you tighten up and move a little faster because you got mouths to feed. People, the people that I know that were extremely afraid of, the consequences. Like you said, they fell in line. They just fall in line. They're not, listen, I've been here for a while. I ain't trying to, last call is the boss. I ain't trying to go to him and tell him I should get more money because he gonna be like, and so let me just keep my head down and keep doing this. Meanwhile, the employer's putting more and more responsibilities on you, and
Absolutely.
saying so. Yeah, there definitely some people, but we know some people don't give a damn. They quit. They
Yeah.
quit. They telling the boss to kiss their ass. They fighting. They doing all that. But for the most part, most people I know trying to feed their family, they put their head down and just keep moving forward.
You're absolutely right. When in my younger days, I wanted to fight everybody. And a lot of my frustration around was like, yo, aren't you guys mad? Like, don't you guys, why are we accepting this? Blah, 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 blah. And talking my ass off and wondering, you get married, you get a mortgage. You maybe get a mortgage, you have a kid or two, you're like, I'm going to shut my mouth.
Yeah.
I totally understood that after a while, but back in the younger days when I was just like, this is bullshit. We don't have to take this and blah, 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 blah. What about you? You don't have to do this. And I'm just like, no, I get it. And which is another thing too, the boycotts and stuff that we used to do, those are reasons why we might not ever see a time like that again. Because to make those sacrifices, first of all, now we're too individualistic, which, I guess we earned it. We earned the right to be, but nobody could give up their way of life to contribute to that sort of a movement, So I don't know. It's
yeah, and there are movements. I have friends in the movement, and they're just not like the only reason I know about they changed the name, but they used to be Black Power Media. But the only reason I knew about them is because one of my somebody I grew up with, I'm about to call him his name. I knew him from. No. He converted and
oh, I got you.
Yeah, but he because I know him and I was following him, and one day I reached out to him. I was like, "Oh man, you got a whole movement." I said, "You're a whole movement." I made some comment like he was doing his thing, and he was like, "No, it's so much going on. There's so many people." And then I started going down that rabbit hole and following him, and yeah, man, they just don't get that. They don't get that pub. But there are groups out there. They're still fighting for freedom of political prisoners. They're fighting for more social programs. They are they want the system of capitalism to be gone. And I don't know if they're necessarily communist or socialist, but I'm thinking leaning more towards socialist. But they don't believe in imperialism and colonialism and capitalism, like all that together, and what it's doing to the world and creating. I'm not gonna go down that whole rabbit hole, but
I hear that. I hear what you're saying too. I might not want to get too far in there, but the other thing is, it sounds like, how they found that Vietnam soldier still fighting the war 40 years later.
Yeah, right.
You don't want to compare those two fights, but what is the end game for people like that? And I'm not saying whether in my opinion, that's admirable to stick to your guns, so to speak, like that. But while you have this overture of government and this whole other system that you might eventually, because look back, we speak about Huey P. Newton and all that stuff too. And those guys from the party, they're not all passed away. Right? We knew some of them were in jail, like Geronimo got out and went to Africa and actually bought he made an aggregation thing. Tanzania, I think he went over there and did some good stuff. There's a documentary about it if anybody wants to check that out. But that's an amazing thing about what, bring it back to the party and how the movement either is suppressed, oppressed. Huey P. Newton was shot 20 years after. He wasn't as well known, but you had a living legend up until that time, just after the storm, after the smoke clears, back living in the neighborhood, there he was. And that's very much like, what you're saying your friend has went through as well. Are they fighting this war? They were maybe part of a stronger movement. What happens is that dissipates. And people like him, those ideologies, in the future, as admirable as it is, it's very scary. I don't know.
Yeah, I had reached out to him too. Well, we were when I still had a Facebook, we were communicating through Facebook, and I was just telling him, like I said, one of the probably most underrated things that people don't talk about, because I know I see what you do and everything like that, but there's a whole other side, like when you have to be able to decompress. And I was like, what are you doing to decompress? You know what I'm saying? I said, I have confidence. One of his response to me is like, in the end, he said, "I appreciate you for acknowledging that, but in the end, I think we'll win." So he felt like whatever it is worth it. Manuel said, so they're Black Liberation Media now. Okay, so my boy's not on there anymore. But if you go back to their earlier content, Kalanji Jamachanga is my homie, and he's been around. He's been on, like, I want to say CNN. He's been he has the FTP movement, and it is Feed the People, F the Police. Like, he has a bunch of different names he has, and they're I think they're I want to say mascot, but is the what is it? Is this a Siafu ant? What kind of ant is it?
I'm not.
I gotta look it up.
Are you looking up?
I'm gonna look it. Well, you can look it up too, because I might. Let's see. Siafu ants. Yeah. The Siafu ant is their logo. But yeah, man. That you could, if you're interested in that stuff, you really want to. He said it's what did he say? Black Liberation Media. Yeah, go on that page, man. They got lawyers. They interview a lot of political people in the political movement. A lot of updates on the political prisoners that's there, are still locked up. So yeah, a lot of good interviews. A lot. I mean, and it'd be from anybody from, like spin-offs or relatives, basically, of like the Black Panther movement, like, or all the way to what's my man with the crazy hair? He ran for president. No. He got
Cornel West.
Yeah, they interviewing Cornel. Like they got a lot of, so it's a really good. He's saying it's he say Liberation Media, Black Liberation Media now. So yeah, definitely. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, you can check out a lot of good interviews, a lot of good content, a lot of good history there. I think you'll appreciate it.
I'll definitely check that out. And I don't know if you saw, basically I did my video on the Huey P. Newton, but just a interview that I wanted people to check out. And a message, I think a keeper was like, yeah, this is cool, sort of deal. And we traded a couple lines about it and stuff. It's the type of interview that you need to have context and prior knowledge to, in my opinion. Because, it being February, I tried to, expand my mind a little bit on maybe something I didn't know about Black history or one of our leaders or, some of the ones that aren't brought to the forefront, sort of deal. So in that way, it kind of leads me down a rabbit hole or to go back. So I've always, this particular interview was maybe weeks before he was shot. So what you're getting is, I don't know if he was under the influence then. He certainly seemed coherent. It could have been phases. And that's the other thing too. I really, as unfortunate as that thing was of him taking substance and stuff, you don't know what it was like to fight a nation, what that might do, and not have the support. He went to war and came back, and came back in the eyes of many dishonorable.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, that's the reason why I was compelled to uh, highlight that interview, because you're getting him very
You,
close to
your sound was going in and out a little bit.
Oh, is it okay now or what?
That's good now. Whatever you was doing like 10,
Oh.
15 seconds ago was affecting it.
Oh, my bad. Thanks. But that's why I think that one is important, because you're getting him very close to. It's probably one of his final interviews, and it's not even a superficial interview. The guy's asking questions way back on the other side of the camera. He's getting his ideas across very clear, very honestly, very conscientiously. And anyway, that's the type of stuff that I like and that I hope to see when I go to those websites as well. But the other thing, I think the government,
I think you're gonna like that. I think you're gonna like that page.
The other thing with we've been through so much. You could call them uprisings. Resistance is probably a better word for that. Where the government, even at the time, it may not have been so sophisticated, going back to COINTELPRO and the things that they did, because also with those interviews, you'll start seeing the guys who finally came out maybe 20 years later who it was their job to infiltrate, black men amongst other black men, but working for the FBI and all that stuff, infiltrating, saying they weren't surprised when Fred Hampton died because he's the guy that gave him the information of where he was and all that, drew a map to the house, sort of stuff too. So, it's so-called being the information age and all that kind of stuff. You better believe it's way more sophisticated and stuff. And kind of like going back to the original, the revolution, to the Civil War and stuff, like after the country taking blows like that, they want to ensure that any sort of uprising or any sort of resistance would be inevitable, would not happen in the future, and so it's tough. It's tough to be the ones at the end of the day, maybe not seeing that dent in the wall or how much you think you're resisting now. I just I would really like to talk to those people or find out what their psyche is and what the end game is. Is it like that, or is it on the side? Like if you talk to a Confederate reenactor that they believe the South will rise again, are they separate ends of the spectrum like that?
Yeah, well, listen, there are people you will find that you will find people that are going to align with that. Hopefully, they're not in a position of power making decisions, or maybe hopefully they're not your direct supervisor or whatever. But a lot of the government did a lot of things, especially in particular, like you said, like after ending slavery, they created vagrancy laws. Like it was like a bunch of different things. Like you had to have ID. If you didn't have ID, you got thrown in jail, which was basically going back to slavery. When you were traveling, so and it wasn't work at a certain place, so you had to travel, and then you get caught, and now you're in jail, and you know what I'm saying. So
yeah,
there's different things that you've seen from that to something as egregious as well as banks getting fined for lending to black people in certain neighborhoods, redlining. What was they called? It's called redlining, but
yeah,
like stuff like that where the government was, involved in.
Part of the black codes.
They were involved in it, or they looked the other way. You know what I'm saying? If they wasn't directly involved in it, they looked the other way. So all of that, like you say, and to have somebody that is trying to change that, and not just trying to change it quietly, because now your faces, the main faces, whether they were the actual leader or the actual founder of the movement, but the people who are the main faces, the amount of pressure. I probably show up to interview high myself. You know what I'm saying? Like the amount of stuff that's going on, like the cope. I don't have that many problems, and I've had to like, you know what I'm saying? I've self-medicated myself over the years during certain situations. So imagine having to wait and having everybody call you, everybody knocking on your door with and having to, because you can't solve everything, right? You can't fix everything. So so part of it is having to tell people, yeah, we're really not doing nothing about that, or that's not what we actually do, or that's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So all of that, it's so many different layers to be the face of all of that. And then the ripple effects to your family, right? Because everybody is associated with you, everybody that's around you, and they have to be that, and constantly, like, these guys would be on these interviews talking their shit like nobody's business. And I was wondering, like, okay, when the camera goes off and they like either get in their car or they have a moment to decompress, what is that like?
Ooh.
That's what that part is like.
What an interesting question. Right. When it's just like, when you close the door to the car or something, you're like, shit. Yeah. I hold on for a sec. I want to just share this screen. So this is the interview that I'm talking about.
Before you do that, could you just entertain the crowd? I just want to go refresh my drink, and but I want to get the whole context of what you're doing right here.
Sure. All right. And Stefanie's coming up. Stefanie Collins, what's up?
Don't talk either, Stefanie. I don't want to miss you either.
We got it. We're getting into the good stuff. My brother wants to refreshify.
Okay.
It's no problem. All right, we'll wait on a couple things. What's up, Steph? How you doing, man?
Hey, no, go ahead and do what y'all was doing. I'm chilling. It's fine. I'm good.
All right, cool. So obviously getting into some stuff over here as well. I don't know, without giving too much away. I went to go look for your site to go subscribe to you. There sure is a lot of stuff on you online. Are you aware of this?
On me?
Yeah, of you. There's a whole bunch of stuff about you online on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm aware. So, some is good, some is bad. A lot of it's bad, but some is good. If you actually Google my name, like, it's more good than bad. If you actually go to the web, right? Yeah, I mean, it's all my like history of activism and like that stuff. You can find that on the web, but it's not on YouTube because a lot of it's too old, So yeah, but that's actually what I came up here to talk about, that decompressing thing. But I can chill. I'll just stay up here, whatever y'all are gonna do. I'm cool.
Okay, cool. I don't want to get too far without because I want him to see some of this too. Let me make sure I have the right screen. I had this video here, and come on, brother, let's go. I don't want to get too far from you. And there's just information out there. Sorry, reading what that says. My earbuds in there. It's a good time to adjust. You're right. I forgot about him. Oh yeah, I wanted to respond to that. I saw you guys talking about that in the chat. Mumia is off death row. Yeah, he should have gotten the pardon as well. Trump is just let's not even go into a Trump thing right now. So annoyed at this dude, crying out loud.
All right.
There he is.
Sorry about that. I had to get a little. I know y'all not drinkers, but I had to get my alcohol and my water. So I'll be going back and forth from the water. If you see the red cup, I'm sipping something else.
It cancels each other out, so don't worry, you're good.
All right, cool.
before I got home, I picked up. I got that frozen juice crap in the fridge, but I was like, I don't want to go back to that. I went to the gym and stuff today, so I made sure I had like some super duper Tropicana mix. so I'm not even taking the glass. I'm drinking the whole jug as I'm sitting here with you guys. That's my thing.
All right.
Stay hydrated. Stay hydrated.
That's right.
Stay hydrated. So, Steph, did you want to jump in and say stuff, or did you want me to go ahead, or what? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to say real quick before the topic kind of gets lost, but you're talking about that decompression thing, and I just think it occurred to me. I haven't thought about this in a long time, but in 2007, we a whole bunch of us, like a good 25 of us or so, including like some new Black Panther Party. One of the Africas came down from Pennsylvania, and some of the Nation of Islam, they're local. This hip hop outfit called the Welfare Poets out of Brooklyn, I think, or the Bronx. We worked on this big campaign to save this individual who, or to get him spared the execution. He was under a death sentence, and his execution was coming up in August, at the end of August.
Okay.
So at the beginning of June, we went hardcore to try to get him clemency. And the best we could hope for was not that he would go home, but that he would get converted to a life sentence, which you can actually walk out at some point with a life sentence. It's a long time, but he'd already been there a while. So, if he got clemency and got commuted to life, then he would have a hope of getting out someday alive, right?
Okay.
And I remember, we were traveling all over the place. We were doing rallies. We were doing speaking events. His daughter was part of it. His wife, who was from the Netherlands. We were just like, we can't. His father, his grandfather, a cousin of his. We all became like family, real, we were tight. Mm-hmm. And his name is Kenneth Foster Jr. And I remember the night before he was supposed to be executed, nothing had happened yet. Mm-hmm. As far as any changes, he was still set to be executed. And we went down to Huntsville, we went down to Livingston, because that's where death row is. And then he would have been transported over to the Walls unit in Huntsville if they were actually going to carry out the sentence. So we were going to follow him from Livingston into Huntsville.
Okay.
And I remember the night before, we were all in this budget motel, right? And we had 30 people with 4 rooms in between us. I mean, we're all sleeping on the floor. It was crazy. But I remember that night, we were so stressed out and we were so in disbelief of what was actually going to happen. We could not deal with it. We did not want to deal with it. We could not even talk about it. We got so hyped and so we got alcohol was flowing. We had the bud out, everything. We were singing, and we were just clowning each other because we couldn't even comprehend, us losing this campaign after everything we'd done, right? And we were all just trying to relieve each other's stress, but that's kind of that's at the height of when it hits, where you've really got to decompress, because you just can't, you can't think about it anymore. You just can't think about it anymore, and we actually saved that guy. The next morning when we drove into Livingston, the Board of Pardons and Paroles had voted for clemency, and it was just up to the governor. And then we all sat down to have lunch, and I was like, y'all don't count your chickens before they're hatched. I mean, I hate to say it, but the governor's an asshole. He's let so many people go to the death chamber. I don't know if we can count on him. And then it came over the TV where we were eating that Governor Perry had commuted his sentence, and you would have thought we all started cheering and hugging and everything, and people in the white folks from East Texas were looking at us going congratulations, y'all. Good job. We're hey, it was a 1 in a million. But I was just thinking the night before, we were so burdened with that we just had to really kick off the steam. And we partied harder than I probably, well, I don't know. I used to party really hard, but that was one of the hardest partying I've ever done, for real.
So let me ask you that. I'll ask one beyond. So when you went away from that, what was, it's good to party with the team, but even after everybody celebrates in the locker room, the champagne, blah, 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 what about after that?
And, I'll really, I'll really identify with that story about, people knocking on your door and being like, can you do this? Can you do that?
Okay.
We had an influx of families saying like, hey, can you do this for my kid? Can you do this for my brother? And we were like, God, and to actually look at them and say, I don't think we can. We had to develop like a sort of like compassionate way to say, like, and honestly, we were very honest with them. We were like, this was a 1 in a million. This was a 1 in a million, and we cannot. I mean, it was a very good case. He was like a picture, the poster boy for like, give this guy clemency, right? I mean, it was never going to be replicated, and we had to really break it to those families that like,
Right.
we are more than willing to sit down and discuss like what we could do, but as far as this goes, we're never going to be able to do this again.
Mm-hmm. The one that you were talking about before there, was the fight, was the person completely innocent? Was this an innocence project, or was the fight not the death penalty?
And that's the thing, and I think that's why we were successful, because he never contested that he was involved with the group that shot this guy.
Okay.
But he was not the shooter.
Okay.
He was the driver of the car that his buddy, like his dude, that was they were out committing robberies. Like, and he never lied about that. He said, yeah, we were out committing robberies. We would jump out the car, we would mug somebody, we'd jump back in and leave. The guy that actually shot the van, all the other Kenneth, the driver, and the other 2 passengers, they all testified that they did not know it was going to go down like that. Like, none of the other robberies that night had gone down like that. They had never talked about shooting anybody. They had never talked about killing anyone. So when Mauricio jumped out and, the whole robbery went down, and whatever happened, Mauricio's dead, so we don't know. But, like, whatever happened between Mauricio and the person who got shot and killed, like, nobody could really, like, put that together as to why that guy, right? And the young man who got shot was actually the son of a very powerful, prominent family in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
His brother later became the elected district attorney of San Antonio.
Oh, shit. Mm-hmm.
And that was years after. That was even after Kenneth had been granted clemency.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the kind of family we're dealing with, right? Rich, lawyers, political power, all that stuff. And they were and so they did this, and this is allowed. I mean, it's not. It used to be a lot more common until people started seeing, because of this case and others, that it's really unfair. They tried Mauricio, the shooter, and Kenneth, the driver, together.
Mm-hmm.
And
now,
go ahead.
In some places, in some states, aren't you just as guilty as the shooter in a crime like that?
Absolutely. And that's the theory they tried him under. And so, but because, and yes, like, it was technically, legally, he was just as eligible for the death penalty as the shooter under Texas law. But this case actually brought forth to people's like minds how unfair and just sort of arbitrary that is, because Kenneth, and the reason why Kenneth was just as guilty, because Kenneth had participated in the robberies before.
Okay.
Not this one. He did not make a plan to go like, okay, you're gonna run in there and like people think law parties, like, you're just as guilty if you're the driver. What they're typically thinking of, like the classic case of that, is where everybody in the car plots to do an armed robbery, right? And you know that they're possibly going to get killed, or they are going to, you know, that's the whole plan. Like, that's the actual explicit plan. And then your you know, co-conspirator gets back in the car, and everybody's like, cool, you know, whatever, we're driving off. They had not, like, the robberies before had been just sheer robberies. They had not been armed robberies. They had not been aggravated robberies.
Okay.
And so which is you threaten force, but you're not using a deadly weapon. And so, you know, that was kind of the difference. And so people really had to stop and think, like, okay, this may be more fair, like, classically, it may be more fair theoretically, if, like, there's an actual conspiracy to commit armed robberies, to commit, like, you know, an actual killing, and everybody's involved, and the driver is, you know, really taking part in this whole conspiracy just as much as the person who did the killing. This was not that, you know.
You really had to be very intricate with this separation, because everything you're saying, obviously, I'm not I don't know as much as you do in the field, but just, you know, the little bit that I do know, I'm betting, you know, they're trying to do the pattern, you know, of this destruction and the elevation that each crime was getting a little more, you know, out there as well, for this person. So what drew your attention to this case? Are these people that contacted you or your firm?
No, I wasn't even a lawyer at the time. I was in law school, but I had been doing anti-death penalty activism for years at that point. I really started in Oklahoma in 1999 because in the winter of what got me interested in it was there was vigils in front of the governor's mansion every time there was an execution. So I started going down there. And in the winter of 2000, the January of 2000, Oklahoma executed 9 people in 1 month.
Wow.
And that got me going, like, it really did, to see that kind of, like, it really, you know, honestly, a massacre. And one was a woman named Wanda Jean Allen, who was a black lesbian who had killed her partner, allegedly. And it was, you know, we knew she had done it, but it was the circumstances were really mitigating, you know, and she had a very unfair trial. None of the mitigating evidence about her background, about her ability to comprehend what she had done, was brought forth by this trial attorney. And it really left her at the mercy of this jury, who did not understand her, did not understand her life, and did not like her, right, because of who she was. And so, you know, there was a campaign to get her clemency as well, based on, like, traumatic brain injury, you know, all these things, and violence in the home that she was not responsible for, and the fact that, like, abuse was going both ways, and she, you know, there was likely she was being just as abused as her partner was. You know, they executed her, and that sort of, like, opened my eyes to, like, this is a real menace. This is a real menace to society. And the other thing that really hurt me a lot to see, and really motivated me to continue death penalty activism, was, you know, the real shame that I saw that, like, of people celebrating these things. You know, because that's just a real mar. That's just a real, like, real bad, like, a black mark on society, that, you know, states that have the death penalty, where it's not considered at all a you know, something that is unfortunate, at the very least unfortunate, right? At the very least, you know, we can all agree that somebody dying is not, like, somebody being executed is not, like, a great thing, right? We should be able to agree on that. Right. But, you know, the fact that society is just so callous, you know, to the fact that a life is going to be lost, especially under those circumstances, right? Because there's been, you know, at least they were convicted of having victims before, like, that's why they're there. And so to end it all with this sort of, like, celebration, I think is very, like, callous to everything that happened, and it's very bloodthirsty, and it's just really, it really disgusted me, you know. And so I was like, you know what, this is, like, one issue that I really feel like could be sort of, like, the key to, like, showing like this is the worst of what prison can be. You know, if we can make people understand that this is sort of the spearhead of a completely unjust justice system or the legal system, it's not just, you know, so legal system. This is like the worst it could get. This is their ultimate weapon. If we can explain to people why, like, this is very regrettable, you know, this is very something that the society should not be participating in. Maybe we can open their eyes to just how deep this goes.
Absolutely. One of the things that I think, without getting, I don't want to be, well, I don't think it's grotesque, but I think if you really do think about it, it could be. But the other part is, who's serving this so-called justice? Who is? So you did something that society or the legal system decides you need to pay back by your life ending, but the judge doesn't pull the lever or inject or do the gas. Some guy like the prison guard is a guy, like the cafeteria worker is the guy, the guy at the front desk is a guy. There's a fucking
it's not even a doctor. Like the doctor, because they do lethal injection now, right? And it's not even a doctor who actually like pushes the button that starts the plungers. Like it's a dude, it's a technician. But it's the Dr. Rick does the mixes beforehand, but because of their Hippocratic oath, they cannot be involved.
So you're saying
so they have like a technician like basically push the buttons that starts the whole thing.
Yeah, this guy goes to law school, becomes the judge. This and Bill is gonna kill me. Who has nothing to do, but not even like a family member or some shit like that.
Right.
It's this guy's job. How do you justify that?
And you know, and not that I really have any sympathy because they could choose not to do it, right? I mean, there's even if they wanted to work at the prison, there's plenty of other jobs, right? There's never a shortage of needs, you know, for workers at the prison. Right. But you know, so I'm not terribly sympathetic, but at the same time, there's been studies done on people who do this, and they tend to not fare well in the long run. Like they have you know some sort of PTSD. You know, it's a PTSD that's brought on by their choosing, but you know they have nightmares, they have the flashbacks, they have you know all that stuff.
Yeah,
yeah, I would definitely guess so. That's you know taking a life is a you know a heavy thing that you know I guess if you're not in the business of it, but even though if you look at the interviews or you you hear these conversations sometimes with some of these guys who are like knee deep in 3 or 4 different tours, you know, you like something's off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're able to talk about things ending their life and you know, or having the record for the most sniper deletions. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're not coming back to a normal conversation at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Hell no. Yeah. Hell no. I mean, even my brother went to war once, and it took him several years to readjust back to, you know, not a combat situation. I mean, he was exactly because it's like the same thing. Like, you know, I'm sure there's a little bit with you, brother of a certain age, being with EMS. Like, there's things that you see on a daily basis that you could talk to other people, but you can't talk about that at home. It's not polite conversation whatsoever.
No.
You know?
We do a lot of the humor amongst people.
Yes.
Is how we kind of get through it. A lot of if somebody had a recorder and listened to some of the, you know,
they would think you're disgusting. Yeah, they would be repulsed.
Yeah. But the science says this is how we cope. That's all.
Yeah.
I have that.
No, exactly. And I mean, and I totally agree with that. I totally believe it because us lawyers who do very serious criminal defense, like we have to read things, we have to talk to people, we have to hear about things that have been done allegedly that are unspeakable, right? And so, I mean, there are. I mean, I wouldn't say like at the. I don't think there's people like making jokes about after they view like child sex abuse material, which
Right.
sometimes they have to do, and we're not joking about that, right? But there are certain things like there's I mean I don't even go into it, but there are some bizarre stories you see attached to some of these terrible things, and sometimes you will have to talk about that with some humor, just to get it
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that exists. That exists. Humor is is a coping mechanism. It's you could make a smart joke, if I could term it that or whatever, out of things. Definitely, humor has its place in a lot of those things, but you can't be callous about it, obviously,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Well,
that's
you can't be callous, and you can't do it around you. It's like even at a restaurant, you can't be talking about this stuff in case somebody overhears you.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
Yeah.
yeah. It's not everybody's gonna get it. It's context, right?
Yeah. Especially if you happen to be in uniform. That's why I like because like everybody has
Mm,
phones.
right?
Everybody, you know what I'm saying, is all kind of so you want to, if you're in uniform, you kind of want to be, or somebody knows Steph, you're a lawyer, and they like, wait a minute, did she just make a
Yeah,
joke about, I don't know, uh,
yeah,
and it's more damning if there's actually, either video or audio tape of you making an off-color joke or something to get through that moment, or just a
yep,
reference back to it that, you know, um,
yeah,
but I mean, again, it's how people cope and, these people. So I'm not even trying to compare myself with these people who like literally just being who they are makes people like tons of people want to take them out.
right.
Just being who you are, just showing your face on an interview, somebody's plotting and
Right.
they may have been 5,000 miles away, so they couldn't get to you. But if they was in the same city as you, like to think about that weight that people carry on them. And
Well,
I wanted to ask
yeah,
you with the decompression thing. I want to go back to that. So
yeah,
there's that decompression. There's that anxiety leading up, that decompression after, and then like when you've almost been in an accident and it could have ended up terrible. In the moment, you just kind of yell at the driver and you keep it moving. But then when you like get home
oh
and
boy.
you like, man, that truck was really he was coming up on my driver's side, and you thinking that the car, the tires would have rolled over. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's that moment where after everything, when he got his clemency, like the gravity of what you guys just did. I'm talking about after everything, after the original adrenaline wears
yeah,
off. What about that moment where that we really saved somebody's life?
yeah,
That you really
yeah,
kept somebody's heart beating.
yeah. And I mean, what we did, we had a big party again. I'll be honest with you. And we actually did it at my house because it wasn't my house. I mean, I was a student and I was renting a room, and there's like five of us that lived there, but it was a big like mansion that had basically been converted into a group home, right? Student group home, not a group home, but so it was massive. So we had probably 100 people there. Like I cooked, like oh yeah, we like had the good beer, we had the cheap beer, we had the liquor. Like yeah, I mean we were all, and we did it pretty quick afterwards so that everybody that had been there from out of town could stay. Because everybody had to start figuring out how to go back home.
Mm.
Yeah.
It was one of those.
Yeah.
Got
It's Diddy
got
party.
Oh no! Oh no! It didn't turn it. No, no, we're not going to start that rumor because somebody in the sector is listening. They're going to start that rumor.
That Cat Williams said sometimes you just got to tell Steph no.
That is hilarious.
Yeah,
I hear that's good. Good to do that once in a while too, man. Whatever you do,
yeah.
celebrate. Next day maybe you go for a run or something like that. All sorts of ways to do that. But
Do you
very
notice? Do you notice sometimes when we're like thinking about like something like that, like oh that could have been bad, and we kind of shake ourselves? You're like, ooh,
Yeah.
that's a natural response that animals do. Like right after an animal's been in a chase to get away from a predator, they shake.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yep, they shake it off. That's where that comes from. Take it off.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about what you're talking about, I learned a very gruesome detail of a case this month. So as I said, I check out a lot of videos and whatnot, for the month. I got my Halloween movies in October. I got some Black History stuff in February, One of the cases I learned a little more about was the George Stinney case. And all this talk about the South, I'm sorry, I'm kind of Southern ignorant, so I don't want to mess up the state. But as we're talking about executions and stuff, the point of this, they accuse this 14-year-old, 90-pound black boy of beating, raping 2 girls.
Alabama.
But later on, they gave him a pardon, like, I don't know, 80 years, 60 years after. I think it happened in the 40s. But the point of this was they gave him the electric chair at 14 years old. And out of everything I read, and because I finally looked up the whole thing of how it happened as they were describing his last moments. So I think his dad said a few words to him, gave him a Bible that he tucked under his, it was under his arm there, and went. Do you know that he was just so small?
Yeah, he was too small.
He was too small. The two details that I can't get out of my head is, number one, as a booster seat, they took the Bible from under his arm.
Oh, wow.
And put it under him to sit on as a booster seat.
Wow.
And as I was thinking about what you were saying, Stefanie, like, and my response to it, well, who's the guy that does the he just shows up for work and this is what he does? So, the guy, I guess we'll call him the executioner or whatever, when they did everything, they put the face on, they put the mask over him and all that sort of stuff, they had to shock him twice. So the first shock, the mask fell off with eyes bulging and saliva and tongue hanging out, sitting on this Bible. And they had to cover him up again and then, finish the job. So, and then we find out, of course, what many have presumed his innocence from day one. Of course, there was that time, Jim Crow. The guy that probably pointed out Stinney is probably the suspect on their own, But we talk about, right, Emmanuel, it's barbaric. When we speak about how barbaric that system is and how flawed, absolutely flawed it is, that, a few decades ago sent a, and it's obviously not the only case of injustice, but a 14-year-old.
Yeah, I'm looking at
Bible he was given was put
That's
under
wicked.
him.
I mean, there's just no other way to say it. That's just wicked. That's just wickedness. That's all it is. It's just wickedness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the
right.
executioner. I'm looking at this. I don't know. This is what is this? I think that this is reliable. Oh, well, it is Wikipedia, but
Can you share it?
yeah. Let's see. What I gotta do? Present. Let's see.
I thought that happened in Alabama, but it was actually South Carolina.
It was South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be back there.
Do I have to put it up?
Yeah, you gotta.
Okay.
So I was looking at the execution where it was talking about like you mentioned, the executioner pulled the strap from the chair, placed it over him, causing him to cry, breaking the tears. They're saying the executioner was crying. You was asking about the executioner, right? So you gotta. Like
No, maybe I wasn't clear. No, I wasn't. Okay, go ahead and say what you're saying.
I was gonna say the Bible. So you got the Bible. So he's using the Bible as a booster seat. This executioner.
Yes.
For the chair. Last words. No last words. So okay. So they don't include that what you talked about. So they just go right to him putting the mask over his face, causing him to cry. So yeah, they go.
So to be fair, I saw more than one of the documentaries.
Wait, I got you here. See, I'm sorry. I didn't go far enough. When lethal electricity was applied, the mask cover slipped off, revealing tears streaming down the kid's eyes. So that's all they say. They don't say. They just say
There's
tears.
a more graphic one that's out there because he caught current the first time.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not.
All right, let me get this nonsense off there. Yeah. And it's
it's not hard to imagine that that was the site.
Yeah. You're right.
But how freaking horrific is that? And how many things that were done back then in this so-called justice or judicial system.
And more importantly, we label it civilized or civilized.
Yeah.
Right. The best democracy in the world.
Listen.
I am now, like you say, those thoughts get in your head and stuff. I am now fascinated with the life of the executioner. Like, this is just your job.
Did you have like when they said, well, just put the Bible under it? Like, did they say, or were you the person that said, no, we just gonna put a Bible? Like, what role did you play? Were you the misogynist, or were you the masochist, or were you the
right?
If there were one Christian in the room didn't object, like, hey, we can't.
Right.
Well, we can go down that rabbit hole, but the brutal tools of Christianity, like the stuff that they had to use when you talk about some of these things, and it might be a passage where they'll say, they got rid of a bunch of people, but if you actually let's talk about what they actually used. And you didn't just strike somebody one time, maybe you weren't scientific and didn't know a blow here would take them out with one blow, so you had to go and chop. So anyway, we could say we could say that for Halloween.
Yeah, please. And you get Stefanie's like the right person to be talking about that. How deep in religion I think you once were, right?
I still am. Yeah. I mean, not to the way I used to be, because I used to be sort of a, I think I wasn't as nonsensical as the people that I grew up around, as the culture I came from. I don't think I was. I think I was a little bit more able to kind of see the hypocrisy and the stuff that didn't make any sense. But, I still, unfortunately, not anything that I still struggle. I still let it get in my head in a way that, like, I figured out now that it didn't make any sense and it didn't have to be that way. And it's a very miserable existence a lot of times. You're just on this hamster wheel, like, is God happy with me? Is God happy with me? Is God happy with me? And your churches definitely want to, they want to encourage that kind of stuff, because it's very easy to, as long as you're scared, it's easy to, control you, right? And get you to do whatever they want.
Nowhere. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all the studies, and I don't have the proper reference where they talked about, where they told kids or people that somebody was watching them and how the behavior, that there was cameras there, how their behavior changed, knowing that somebody was, in the sky or whatever watching them. So that's very real. Even if even people that deconverted, they still have a fear. One of the last things they can let go of is this fear that they're going to end up in an eternal fire. So, it's like you said, it's hopefully it's not too miserable of an existence for you, but
not now, not now at all. Because I finally figured out that, like, the whole point is that it's a gift, and you don't need to impress God. You don't need to impress God, because he's not going to be impressed anyway. And so, that's just it. I don't have to have, like, these emotional responses. That was a lot of what was coming about in my time when I was a teenager, was that the Baptist church was moving more and more towards sort of charismatic type worship services, especially with the kids. And so, like, I saw everybody around me having these like, emotional interactions with the Holy Spirit. And I was just kind of like, I don't feel nothing, and then I started questioning, like, well, have I not been chosen? Just, like, if I can't do it, then maybe, maybe I'm not a sheep, maybe I'm a goat, and maybe there's nothing I could do about that.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, 30 years later, like, and I left, like, I was not involved. I was not even trying to think about it. I was just like, look, it is what it is. Um, but then I kind of started. It was actually YouTube. I started watching a lot more YouTube, and I started finding these like sort of not non-care, like, actually these channels that are very much like calling out all this sort of emotionalism that's taken root, and like we call it the Baptist charismatics, because it's like they're becoming like one, the Penta Baptists, the Pentatists, and like, these channels were like, look, that's not what this is about. You don't have to have an emotional experience. You don't have to hear from the Holy Spirit. Like, you don't have to, this hamster wheel of like, if I'm not trying to be holy, that means I'm not hearing from the Spirit, which means I'm not, I'm not a believer. You don't have to get on this treadmill. Like, just relax, just relax.
Yeah.
Be still. You have the peace that passes understanding. Act like it. And it's like, you don't have to. And it sounds horrible to say this, but to like revisit the scriptures that say, your good deeds are but a pile of filthy rags. It's actually very relieving, because it's like, dude, I don't have to keep producing.
Yeah.
I don't have to keep, like, I don't have to hit a measurement. Like, I don't have to get a grade. There's nothing I do is going to impress God anyway. So I just need to relax. Like, I'm not here to impress him. He's not demanding I do that.
There you go. And then Stefanie's small town over there, you get in trouble dancing on a tractor and doing stuff with Kevin Bacon.
I mean, you might as well, man. Shoot. I mean, gosh, our town was very complicated because, like, the religious folks controlled the town, but the methamphetamine controlled the rest of the town. The methamphetamine controlled the people, and the church controlled the town, like the actual power.
Huh.
So, and our little church of 100 people was sort of like a bulwark against, the ravages that was happening sort of outside of the rest of the town, and it was something, because a lot of the kids that would come to youth group, like, their parents were engulfed in that. It was happening in their home. It was visible. They were out in the shed cooking, and I mean, I think it was, even though we had a crazy doctrine and we were like very like rigid, it gave them a space to get away from that for a few hours,
Gotcha.
Yeah, you kind of needed that though.
Yeah. And that wasn't happening in my house. My parents were upstanding, but like a lot of my friends would just come to youth group just to get away,
Yeah, those kids needed that, and that's
Yeah.
too. The current journey that I'm on allows me to sometimes, because it doesn't work all the time, where you kind of see, like, or you kind of at least question or give somebody grace because you don't know exactly what they got going on in those moments. Move, get out the way. You know what I'm saying? But when I upon reflection, I'm like, I'd be like, I wonder why that person was like that. I mean, maybe they had, and I started trying to figure out, because I know that I arrived at my particular point of view from all those things that happened to me, and I look at things so a little different now. Again, like I said, it don't happen in the moment. In the moment, I might sock you, but later on, we'll figure. We'll figure. I'll be figuring. I'll be reflecting, and
when you come to,
yeah, like last call said. Now I'm 51. When I'm 70, I'll be like, why did I punch last call? He was just trying,
right.
Crying about. I'm still, like I said, I'm still crying about my little league strikeouts. But in the moment, yeah, you kind of get your shit off, or you say what you need to say. But I do a lot more wondering, like, because people aren't just. I don't believe people are like that in any particular way, but say if they seem particularly evil, like, I think they arrived there somehow. I don't know that I believe that.
I don't know if I can even have that conversation.
I don't believe
So-
that they were just an evil baby. You know what I'm saying? Because all babies are evil anyway, but I don't believe they were just come on, babies are evil, selfish, and manipulative. But we leave that alone.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had to really look at some people and wonder, is this a bad seed, or like, just, I don't know, get into that whole nature versus nurture. I've just seen certain things where I'm just like, and how long, and I guess it depends on your relationship with that person. Do you let somebody have their way or have their space before you're like, what's up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
When do you kick that in, man?
I'm more apt to ask the questions a little sooner now because of the things that because the things that I've had to do to pull myself up to where I'm at now. I'm talking about emotionally and mentally, and a little bit physically, but I've had to, like, you know, get a lot of tools where you know, I'm able to I'm just in a more understanding place, and like I'm wondering what happened, but I'm more apt to call, you know, nip it, talk about it early. But I still, if you allow me to get to know you, then you know, we can go down that rabbit hole another day. But I don't let people get away with a lot of things these days.
Yeah, I think I'm along the same lines, and I think what you're saying, is the calling out people without making it a hobby. You don't want to be the guy calling people on their shit all the time, like you're pristine, you know. But you also can't be the person to just let shit slide and call bullshit. Because one of the things I hate, I was just telling this to somebody. One of the things I hate when I disagree or have a different point of view with somebody is having to break down your lying facade of bullshit before
For
we get to
real.
the real point that you built up that bullshit. But now, fine, we got to deconstruct that shit before we get to all of that. You put me to the test.
Yeah. And, you know, at the end of the day, like, to coddle them and just sort of like you call it, like, the enabling them, right? To just let them have their way, you're not really doing them any favors. You know, it's really more for you than it is for them because it just keeps the peace. It just lets it go on for a little while longer.
Yes.
You know, it's an appeasement, right? It's just an appeasement. And we all know from, you know, Europe in 1939 that appeasement doesn't work. You know, appeasement isn't a long term solution. And really, like, you probably can't fix them. You probably can't fix them at that point. Like, especially, you know, the older they get, you probably can't fix them. But, you know, like Project Pat says, don't save them because they don't want to be saved. But you know, you at least like have to get an understanding. You have to create that boundary if they're still going to be in your life. Like, I know what's up, but you can't get away with certain shit with me.
From biblical
then
Project Pat. I like it. I fuck with
right, that in there. But at some point you become the difficult, because nobody had that level of honesty. Remember when I was talking about my friends and their level of honesty with me? They wouldn't let me just say some shit. You know, when you're the only person in that person's life that's honest, it's up for that person to recognize that. Versus, I think the majority will push it away because it's not in the current of bullshit that they've been
Absolutely.
fed. That superficial stuff, you know?
Yep. Yeah, most people are going to reject it, but you know, if you're going to keep them in your life, at least I think a lot of times, if you tell them, like, basically, I know what's going on, you know, you're not going to run that bullshit on me, you know, then at least if they're still in your life or they have to be in your life because it's like, you know, a family member or something, at least like you've kind of, you know, basically they're not going to try that shit with you no more because you've already told them, like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's either going to save the relationship or, you know, this is where you're like, hey, I got to let you go.
I was going to say, unless you're going to completely get rid of the person or stop communicating, you know, that's one avenue. But as somebody I had a situation where I was getting like somebody really close to me I was trying to do the dance and he wouldn't, everywhere I went, he was just like right there, like calling me on my bullshit. And he was like, he finally was like, yo, just say you want to be a scumbag. Like, just say that. We doing all this, just say you want to be a scumbag. Let's just say that. And that was like, stopped me right in my tracks. And then we had to have the real conversation. So I get what you're saying. You got to mine all this shit out, do the dance, chase them all around, and then you can have that conversation. But I've been on the other end of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm the type of person, because Steph was saying, you know, somebody could, like, I think you was alluding to the fact that, you know, one of you guys were alluding to the fact that, you know, you become the bad guy, but somebody that's really at least able to see or on that journey where they questioning things about themselves, they'll be able to, you know, appreciate your friendship, and especially in the long run, even if not in that moment, even if, because sometimes that moment is too hot, you know. And Steph, you a lawyer, so I know, you know what I'm saying, if you going in and if you're not, you know,
no judging Steph.
You know, I'm trying to, you know, it's like, no, we're gonna talk about this, so you have the ability to be able to do that. So in that moment,
bring up the excuses with Steph, she's like, Exhibit A. Like, shit.
Yeah. And, you know, like, I think, you know, people would probably think, like, I have to do that to my clients. I have to do that with the prosecutors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they want to do this dance, like, well, you know, they want to rationalize their case. So, like, hey, you know, I have to do this with the alleged victims. Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. You know, they're not on the stand testifying. I'm like, okay. You know, and so get them to talking. Like, okay, so how did that happen? You know? Tell me more. And then the jury starts looking at him like, sometimes I don't even have to ask any questions. I just get them to talking, and the jury's like, wait a second, you know.
Yeah. That's what.
Yeah.
But those are not people I know. Those are people I get to, like, walk away from at the end of the day. I'll never see them again. I mean, the prosecutors, you know, I still have to talk to them, but, you know, they know, like, we have that relationship. We're like, yeah, you know, she's one of the difficult ones that we can't, you know, just beat some bullshit, you know, about how their client is guilty and then expect them to just cave in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When they read that paperwork and they see Stefanie Collins on it, like, oh, this. Okay, who's that? You know, this is what her reputation is. So yeah, but that's good though.
I think it's better to have that reputation. I was asking people a while ago because I was so bothered by this man. Oh my God, look who is in the house. Coming out here, Mr. KKC.
Peace.
What it do, KKC? How's it going?
What's up, brother? Thank you so much for checking me out, man. I appreciate that. Wow, that's awesome.
Been out there, been watching you since the gorilla mask in the car. You know what I'm saying?
I remember way back, Lennon, one of his first appearances on there when he had the mask on there and everything too, man.
Mm-hmm.
Lennon is how I've just found out about a whole lot of everybody. Now I'm a member of KKC, man. How crazy is that?
Yeah, I think I donated memberships here and there, but yeah, I found pretty much a sector from Lennon. That led me into all. I was subscribed to him. He used to do these, like, he was at this, like, warehouses. I don't know if he was a forklift driver. He was doing something at a warehouse, had the little skelly on there.
Yep.
Back then, so before all of this craziness, but that's how I found that, and went to KKC and other people I'm not gonna say because Stefanie's on the panel.
But
which
yeah,
I think I know who that is now.
Yeah. But KKC is one of the last. He's one of the last. Well, you know, that phrase may not be actually all that compassionate at this point. That may not be a good thing to say. I was going to say the last of the, you know, and refer to a certain nation of peoples when you say, you know, that novel, you know. But KKC is one of the last holdouts. You know, he's still, I think, one of the only ones still talking about Umar. You know, like we all started. He's one of the only ones keeping us abreast of what's going on with Umar. You know, and I appreciate that because that's how this all started. And now we're down here in the muck and the mud. You know, and we don't even know how we got here.
Well, I could tell you, right? I could tell you a couple things with KK because I'm like the least and probably the last person to get involved in damn near anything. So I was late to the sector, as you know. Um, I keep, I don't know. I saw one thing, I think with Lennon, then I just see his bald head popping up all in my algorithm all the time until finally months later I'm like, let me see what the hell this guy's talking about. I think I watched some Monty Woodgrain first before I watched Lennon. And then and at this time I wasn't really on YouTube like that. But then I started listening to Lennon. So I didn't even know who Umar was really at that time. I knew he did some Breakfast Club stuff, but that's all really that I knew about that.
That's what I
So
saw first too. Breakfast Club.
right.
Now I was
So
seeing him over like at Sinetta
I
and
remember back in those days with oh no. Back in those days, I was like, yeah, I like what this guy is saying, sort of deal, and where everybody used to hang out. Where at one point I was compelled to actually, when Lennon used to have his call in stuff, I'm in one of those episodes on one of those phone calls, and I had a genuine question about Umar. I was like, my question was something like, "Do you think there's redemption, or what's the end game?" And Lennon just gave me a great answer, and I kind of like, I think he was my first person I followed from that point, to tell you the truth. That's how much of a YouTube guy I wasn't. I didn't even follow anybody or subscribe to anybody at that time. So I'd see KKC on it, and I didn't even know so much that there were communities. Like somebody would log off of their live, and then they would have a live, and that sort of stuff. I was like, yo, this is some cool stuff. So very few people. It takes a lot for me to be committed to see somebody and to repeatedly check them out, and I guess even become a member, if not a subscriber, to the station. And yeah, what you're saying is completely right with KKC. Some people put content out there to follow, to make jokes, that sort of stuff. He does a genuine great production, but well, it's in the name, the receipt show, right? You can't have a receipt show without really having receipts. He has a good network of people. He has good information. I think one of the more important thing is the integrity in delivering the information, as well as like somebody, because the people that I listen to and communicate back and forth with, even if it's just in the chat and whatnot, like I feel like I'd hang out with them had it been a different medium or something like that. People I don't necessarily, I'm not in sync with their type of thinking and the way that they carry themselves and whatnot. I couldn't even listen to you if it was, but these guys are doing lives 2, 3, 4 hours, and I'm there for, if not most of it, all of it. So
Yep.
Respects to you, KKC, doing your thing, man, and just keep doing it. And another brother that I keep talking about a lot here too on the scene, Mr. Information Man Show.
tell the truth. Tell the truth.
I'll repeat what I said about you earlier, man. Just in terms of your production, I do a little talking show here. We gather up some people, but the production that you guys put behind it, the thought, the conscientiousness, the consciousness that you put in there, and your engagement in the production too. You guys do a great job. My thing does not even hold up to what you guys do, and we talked about you guys earlier on. It's funny, and glad you're here, and respect to you guys. Thank you very much. Yes, man. Man.
You could, like, he was I would say Information Man was one of those people that inspired me to, how they say, just take your phone and just record and just do content. And he was one of those first people that like inspired me to, like, when you go for you going for a job, you dress for the part that you want, and you going to get interviewed. So you don't have the job, you're not making the money yet. But he was one of those people that made me go, okay, you know what? Maybe I should get a camera. Maybe I should, get a microphone, learn how to make it sound good, and, audio processors and all that stuff, because this is something I want to do. Now you could do whatever you want. You can, if you want to do content just from your iPhone, you can do that. I'm not saying that there's no value in that. I'm just saying, like, he was one of those people that I was like, I got to give me a soundboard. I got to get, you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
he was one of those people that way early on that inspired me to make sure that I have at least some production quality. And then as well as you're going to walk and chew gum at the same time, right? So you're going to have the sound, you're going to have the camera, and plus you also want to make sure the content is at least thought out. You know what I'm saying? So
Hey, yo. I'm sorry to interrupt, Brother Mr. Age, but I gotta hop down. I just realized it's 10:30 and my cats are acting bad. They want in the room. I've locked them out because I can't do anything with them in here. Now they're starting to fight out there, so I gotta go. But y'all have a good night. It's been really fun. I appreciate y'all having me up. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Stephanie. Have a good night.
Y'all too.
All right, man.
now we could butcher the law and put all kind of shit out there now without getting corrected.
We're experts. We got microphones. And just a little bit of a cap on that too. I do have a first super failed attempt when I was going to try a podcast. I don't know, man, 3 years ago, maybe. That's when I just kind of like put the music out. I didn't know what to do. So I reached out to Information Man, because I was in his chats. And he hit me up, man, with information and what I should be doing. He was available for questions, all that sort of stuff. And I used a lot of that information and advice today, as well. And again, what we were talking before with the partners and Tiz, and other people, it's just a good connection of people we have in this, that have great various talents that it is a good thing. We're doing good things, or those guys are doing good things at least.
And if nothing else, I always say this is a public journal to your loved ones. There's nowhere, unless you are actively recording things that and leaving them aside, but your loved ones can come on and maybe if they want to hear your voice, hear your opinion, see what you look like, see your, what I'm saying, you can click on this and actually see. So it's a bit of a journal as well. That's why I like to use it as a journal as well. So, and we are, and good is relative because some people may tune into this and I ain't talking about that, but continue. I'm going to encourage you to continue to put in the thoughtful things. I can see that you're thoughtful from your thumbnails, from your titles, and then the actual content that you put on once you click go live. I can see that you're thoughtful. So just keep on doing that. And we aspire to be in the KKC and Information Man. We aspire to go
Indeed.
to that direction. So but they started, I bet you they'll tell you, I started out with a couple of subscribers. And I listened back and my mic sounded terrible and this and that. They're going to tell you the stories of it. I recorded something that never saw the light of day. I got ideas that I never executed. All the things that we struggle with. We not reinventing the wheel. Those are the guys, like you said, you reached out to him. Yeah, that's where you go. You go to the people that are doing it and that's in the lane that you want to travel in. And he's gracious enough to, which is very rare. It's rare that people, that's a rare thing, I must say.
Well, I'd even add that, if I could, to a testament of brotherhood or our people helping our people. When people say that we're not connected, we're not united, or crabs in a barrel and stuff, it's a stark contrast for some of the people that we've surrounded ourselves with, or the people that we keep in contact, because it didn't have to respond to me. There's a couple people that didn't actually, and people like Information Man has definitely, he followed up on it, and I know he's busy, to have time to, all right, maybe he'll do it, maybe he wouldn't, and gave me like top advice that I should know. So, it's a testament to that way of thinking, being the type of person that you talk about also as well. I'm laughing at YM, this cat lady, this cat lady thing over there. But
I have two tuxedo cats as well. So I love cats.
You're a cat man?
Yeah, man.
You're a cat man? The guy that makes its thumbnails like Arnold Schwarzenegger As cats? I thought, I thought you have 2 Rottweilers.
Nah, man, that's stereotypical, man. I like YM's phrase better.
Hold on for 1 sec.
Put that
We
up
got
there.
a special guest in the house, sir.
How y'all doing tonight? Appreciate the
What's up,
kind
brother?
words. Last call. Good to see you. Definitely
hold
appreciate
up.
the kind words, brothers.
Hold up, information. Don't come in here sounding with your sound all crisp and all this.
Right?
Nah, I just wanted to encourage you, brothers, and just keep doing what y'all doing. You know, this as long as you believe in yourself and you just keep doing what you're doing. I know when I started off on YouTube, I started off with 0 people in the chat. 0, you know, you just kind of grind and you try to find. I think for me, the struggle was trying to find my voice in terms of what was it that I really wanted to talk about, what kind of channel that I wanted to have. So it took very much some time to craft everything out. And then what I always tell people, you know, build your, if this is something that you really like doing and you enjoy doing it and you like, you know, talking to the people, educating the people about different things, build everything up 1 step at a time. You know, I started off with a regular microphone. You just build your studio up 1 step at a time over time. And then you start to learn about audio better, how audio should be, interfaces. You start to learn more about microphones, you know, the difference between, you know, a dense microphone versus using like one of those microphones that they have in a singing studio, which sometimes can pick up sound from the outside, which is why you want to be in a padded environment. You know, just learning all those different tricks of the trade, understanding how YouTube works, titling, thumbnailing. We got to be honest. We know that the most polarizing that a video or a topic is, it brings people over. And that's the big question. What kind of niche did you want to go into? And just keep in mind, is there an audience for that? Obviously, when we get into issues around Umar Johnson, that's a built-in audience because of some of the things that have happened over the years with him in the school. Or no, let me correct myself. The buildings. Just call it the buildings, y'all. The buildings, right? And hey, do me a favor, last call, all of y'all listening. Mm-hmm. When I went live a few weeks ago, there was, you guys are probably familiar with him. I don't like name dropping, but On Lock was in the chat room.
Yeah.
He went off and did a video where he put he put honors on the thing. He had O'Shea, he had Tariq Nasheed, he had me up there talking about people. He's basically saying that we're all buying the Kool-Aid of honors in our obsession of you know, Umar Johnson. So he's taking clips and he's, you know, but it's a futile argument that he's trying to make. Because what I noticed, I kind of watched some of the video. When I noticed, he never addressed the real questions and issues that we bring up. He didn't want to address that. Like, he kept talking about, I don't think he has 3 kids. It's like, dude, you haven't done research on a dude that you've been worshiping for a minute, you know? Yeah. But I just thought it was funny. And then I looked at his comment section. You had people in the comment section giving him some bite back, right? They're like, dude, he's scanning. Can't you see it? So I know this. You guys have been following this stuff a long time. What is your opinion? Not to get you guys off topic of what you were talking about, but what is your opinion about why Cash App, in your opinion, really had to do away with him?
All right, I'll go first, I guess. I think it's there's 2 parts to it. He just does shady shit. He's probably, when his money doesn't come through, he's probably calling, yelling at somebody like he has an authority sort of deal. He just does bad business. So I think a lot of it is his arrogance and the way that he handles things. I know the majority wants to believe that maybe Cash App is up on his scams and maybe did a little bit of their research and whatnot. I'm not so sure that they're this thorough in this case. because we would see this, like I said in another conversation, we would see the collapse of his Cash App, sort of like the first Twin Tower, and the PayPal would be the second building going down for him. I think he's trying something, or he's tried things several times. I think it's his own doing. I don't think so much that it's Cash App really canceling him. There's some sort of funny business. I saw in one of the lives, oh man, sorry, I might not give credit to the right person, but where I think it was Lennon, when he did the close-up of the Cash App and where the money was going, like he claimed it went to FDMG, but at the bottom of the screen for Cash App, it said personal account or something like that. I don't know if you guys remember anything like that. So I think it's a lot of back and forth and just bad business, arrogance when he goes to follow up and maybe tries to get money he believes is owed to him in certain ways. You've heard that people are creating these fake accounts of him, and I think it's a matter of his bully boy tactics that just don't work for people that he has no jurisdiction over, is what I think.
Yeah, I would say I think if you look at the things that he does, it's all kind of half-assed and janky. So I don't put it past him to, like you said, kind of doing things and playing around with things on the Cash App. Because he doesn't seem like he doesn't have a team. Well, it doesn't seem like he has a team. Doesn't have a board. You know what I'm saying? So he kind of just does stuff himself. And I think in the long run, when you do that, they like, I always feel like you do what you do well. And if I have the opportunity, if I know information man is good at editing and I'm trash, I'm gonna reach out to him. He doesn't seem to have anybody that's been able to at least pull him aside and stop him from doing some of the nonsense and stop him from including things that should be school conversations or school related conversations or building of school conversations, to go off on a rant about the kids' mothers and we gonna go on date night, like stuff like that. Like he doesn't seem to have the wherewithal in overall to stay on task. So I don't doubt that when it comes to like these type of things, like a YouTube or a Cash App or a PayPal, that he's kind of just doing stuff, and eventually that if you sloppy like that, eventually that stuff catches up with
Yes.
you.
Yeah, I agree that it could be his sloppiness and shady things that he's doing. I also believe that there probably have been people that have have called up Cash App or these entities and made complaints because they were a donator, and they're saying, "Wait a minute, I'm not seeing any results here." I said in my video too. I don't know how many people agree with this. I really feel that he bites off more than he can chew. I really feel that Umar, if he would just focus on what it needs to take to get students in the school in terms of it being a safe environment. When he gets into the tantrums about we're going to have an FDMG band, we're going to have a FMG spaceship, we're going to go to moon, we're going to have FDMG in Africa and all these other places in the world. It's like, dude, focus on one thing.
Yeah.
Prove that you can do this one thing. And then once you get that done, where you have faculty, you have kids in the school in a safe environment, now you can start to branch off into other things. But I have a theory why I think Umar does this. For example, when you look at historical black colleges, whether it be a Morehouse or Howard, a lot of these historical black colleges, I know that there were white people that were involved in it, but for the most part, they were founded by or created by black people who started in a one classroom, room like you had back in the day, right? And so let's say Morehouse was in a little room, a little wooden room or, house or whatever, two rooms, one room. The founders or the creators of Morehouse are not here to see the glory of where Morehouse is today, right? They didn't live long enough. Because of Umar's narcissistic personality and his whole ideology about me, he thinks big like that because he wants to be able to get all this credit, right? Whereas if he had started off slow, maybe got like a little small room somewhere or even did it online, he doesn't want to start off small and build a school up from a small room. You know why? Because he wants to get the grand poobah credit. Ego. He doesn't want to be, he always talks about the ancestors, but he don't want to be an ancestor, meaning he don't want to be a guy who passes away and doesn't get all the flowers. He wants the flowers while he's alive, but it's crazy because he wants flowers, but he hasn't done anything. And so I had someone leave a comment on one of my videos saying that Umar never said he has a school. And I said, dude, all you got to do, you guys know this better than me. All you got to do is look at his podcast. Every time he gets on a podcast and he starts arguing with people when they confront him on certain things, what does he say? Ain't nobody opening up an institution like me in the black community. Tell me who's got an institution like me. I got a school. I got an institution. Well, that's false advertisement.
Let me ask you a quick question also, Info. Just back on the Cash App thing.
Yes, sir.
So even if people are calling, about their monies, not going towards the cause and whatnot, from the Cash App business perspective, is Cash App bothered by that bad business coming in, or is it a conscientious effort to stop bad business from happening?
Didn't Honors say this, that these businesses can also be impacted if they're allowing a fraudulent person to collect money under false pretense? Couldn't they also get caught up in some legal issues too?
Yes.
But on the flip side, and I said this before, when Umar keeps saying that the white man is against me, the system's against me, we know that Cash App, they want to make money. They're in the business to make money. They're not in the business to lose money. So tons of people use it every day and do transactions, and money goes from hand to hand. But for this to happen to Umar, if Cash App didn't grow a conscience and say, hey, this guy is scamming, then it has to be that people were calling constantly and complaining to them and saying, look into what this guy is doing. Something had to give, because remember, you guys know this better than me. Remember, he didn't lose a PayPal before?
I believe so.
And he lost the what's the other one? Thank you, sister. Didn't he lose the what do you call it? Crowdfunding?
The GoFundMe?
Oh, the GoFundMe. I'm sorry, not crowdfunding. GoFundMe, right? So think about it. There's something not right about Umar. The question that his blind followers should be asking, why is it that he can't maintain any of these vehicles or these platforms where you exchange money or you can crowdfund? Why did he lose that? What is he doing that's causing these entities to say, we got to drop this guy? What is he doing? What
can I jump in here for a second?
Oh yeah. I want to listen.
Bernice.
Bernice, how you doing, sister?
Everybody.
All right.
Good evening, everybody. Well, I happen to have some information about how he moves, because he scammed me. Well, actually, he scammed my son's grandfather. Now the thing is that anybody that knows my son's grandfather or knows my son's father, they're not doing anything good as far as as pharmaceuticals go, because that's what they're enough said. So he got some money, because I have my sons at the time when I met Umar in 2008. He's been doing this for a long time, guys, just to let you guys know. He's been doing this for a good while. And I met him in 2008. He likes to go. I live in New York City, in the Bedford-Stuyvesant area.
All right.
Not far from where he's always going down to the restoration there. Okay. So there are a lot of Black schools here because this is a Black area. We're mixed, but it's predominantly Black. A lot of Black children that come from the islands, and it's just a Black neighborhood. And that's why he likes to be here. So in 2008, he's been here since then. I'm not a young woman. I'm 57. When I met him, he was in, I think, his early 30s, maybe his mid 30s, 35 or something like that. I was like 41. And my oldest son was 14. My youngest was I think just about ready to turn 6. And he came to his daycare center, which was in a church. That's what he likes to do. He likes to go to daycare centers that's within churches and little facilities like that, where he can get mothers that's like me, that's hardworking, single moms that's trying to, get away from the ghetto life and try to do better. And he goes in there and he yells and screams at us like we're, trash, he hates single mothers. He doesn't like single mothers at all. And he has no problem about displaying how he feels about them. Either he thinks that we're trash because we're single mothers, or he thinks that we're trash because we don't know how to dress, we don't know how to act right, we don't know how to do our hair. He don't realize there's a lot of things going behind trying to be a Black woman, especially living in the city. And he just came in there and he got money from the their grandfather. I would say that he got at least like $3,000 because he wanted them to go to some kind of summer program that he was holding. And my son's father at the time, he was in prison. He's a drug dealer, and he was in prison. He was in there for at least 10 to 15 years. I couldn't even tell you because I never even bothered with him while he was in there. But he wanted to take my sons up there to see their father. And I was like, no, he didn't bother with him when he was home. So why should they go up to see him in prison? I'm not letting my kids go up there, no. And I never seen him again. He took the money and he was gone, and that was it. So by 2011, I see him on a Facebook thing, and he's yelling about these women. They're no good. They won't take their sons and their daughters to see their fathers in prison. And I'm like, wait a minute, is he talking about me? And by the way, where's my money, dude? What happened to that summer program my son was supposed to be going in? What happened to that?
Yeah.
It was really incredible. And he's just a asshole-ish kind of guy. When I met him, he had it was summertime, and this dude had on Timberland boots and some shorts. That might as well had not have been shorts because it was so long. He was goofy looking to me, and walking around with a big whole towel like if he was on a beach or something to wipe his sweat. He just was goofy, and he made me so angry. And I was like, why is this man treating these women this way right now to this day? I mean, that was that long ago, and I saw him in 2019, 18 again, and I was like, wait a minute, that's that dude that took my money back in 28, 2008, and he's still doing the same stuff. He was yelling and screaming. He wanted, as a matter of fact, I know Eric Gardner, the man that was killed by the police. His sister lives here in the building with me, so I practically grew up with him. Okay. And he wanted, at the time when I met him, we were having a big block party because I live on Marcus Garvey Boulevard. Just have to put it out there. So I live on Marcus Garvey Boulevard. They're having this big, huge block party. We have it every year, and my sons were about to do a karate demonstration out there, for a karate school that they have there in on the block there. And, that's why I met him, because he was in there. So if you remember in the beginning when he started with all of this yelling about how he wanted the motorcycle club and the karate school and stuff,
This guy.
this is why, because he used to hang out in this motorcycle club that was like I would say it was in Brooklyn, but it was a huge motorcycle club. Plus, he wanted to do this thing. He wanted this man that was, teaching my son karate, jiu-jitsu, actually it was.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted him to work in the summer program that he was supposedly had. So he probably swindled this guy too. He just was going around just swindling everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so, I'm going for the block party. I have my younger son with me, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, my son got to the point like, why is that man staring at you like that? And so I turns around and I look at him and I said, oh, that's that guy, I met at my son's daycare center. And I'm like, and that's how I got into the conversation with him about, having them go to the summer program. So I said, well, you could talk to, their grandfather here, because I'm getting ready to take my son upstairs so he can go slide on the water slide outside. I come back outside after getting my son changed up, and he's arguing with Eric Gardner because he wants to get on the microphone, because Eric Gardner, he used to DJ music and stuff like that. And he was DJing the music for this church on the block that was, had the water slide and stuff for the Marcus Garvey Day. And he wanted to get on his microphone and say things. And then, Eric Gardner would tell him, hey, slow down. This is not my microphone. You got to talk to the guys over here in this church over there. And he didn't want to do it. He just felt that he can get up on this microphone and just talk all his crap and everything, whatever he wanted to talk. Nobody knew at that time. But he's always assholeless.
He wanted the attention of what was going on. Yeah.
And I don't even know to this day if he knew that was Eric Gardner that he had that argument with.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Let me ask you a question. With what you know now in regards to Umar's timeline, specifically now speaking with his own kids and some of the things that was going on, do you see any of that projection, or do any of those timelines add up with his actions or his interactions with you?
He hasn't done anything that he said he wanted to do. He has some really great ideas, but he doesn't go through with any of them. He doesn't do any of them, because he didn't even take children up to the prisons to see their fathers or their mothers or whoever. And the only thing I did see him do is that he did take he got a whole hell of a lot of money to take some kids around. I think it was Philadelphia, Washington, and Maryland. Different. I think it was 3 different states. It was like tri-states. It was Pennsylvania, Maryland,
DC,
and I think he was in New York also, because I think it was raining really bad that day. But he was just taking them around to all these different schools, black colleges and things like that. And it was horrible. I think KKC, that last call, he was talking about that one time where he was looking at the little girls, behinds and stuff with the cameras, and he just couldn't stop.
Lennon went through that.
That was that time. That was the only time I ever seen him really actually do anything with kids. Other than that, around like when he first brought the school.
Are you still there?
Yeah, he cutting out a little bit.
My phone had turned off. I'm sorry. What you said?
No, I wanted to ask you a question, not to cut you off or anything, but because you've actually been around him and you've kind of chance to see how his energy is. What do you think, Umar Johnson, what is he really, truly motivated by?
By grandeur. He wants to be noticed. That's all. I don't even think money motivates him.
Okay. Do you think, I know I shouldn't say this, do you think that this has a lot to do with maybe as a child, as a youth, he wasn't noticed. He was sort of an underdog, and he's trying to gain something that he did not feel or gain in his youth, in his more younger years, right? Because
No,
no.
no. I think it's the whole thing about you know what 5%ers are?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Okay, well, here in New York
Go.
City, they had this thing here where they used to hang out by the Apollo Theater. Polite, Q Butter. It was a bunch of them. They all hung out together, and they would sell these books. They would sell their own books. Professor Griff, all of them. They all would hang out, and they would just talk this stuff where they would put women down if you weren't black enough for them. And even Guru from what was that group? Gangstar. Yeah, Gangstar actually he wasn't with them. They wouldn't accept him for some reason. So he used to hang out in this place called the Slave Theater. That's about 2 blocks down from the Restoration, where Umar is always going to, where Q Butter is always frequently. That place right now is torn down. They tore it down since Guru passed away. But they would always hang out in that place, and they would just talk stuff. And I think they all just wanted to be noticed.
But see, that's why that's where I'm getting at here. For one, to be a grown man like he is today, constantly looking for validation. I gotta, someone that worked in mental health. Some of this stuff does go back to childhood. A lot of this stuff you can find grounded in those areas, because you're absolutely right. It seems like he's looking for validation, which is why he always says, in my opinion, you know how he always says, I'm the greatest psychologist. I'm the most sought after.
You notice he don't even call himself doctor anymore.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, he doesn't even call. He's been stopped calling himself doctor. He stopped calling himself doctor, I think, like in 2022 or something like that. 21, 22. He doesn't even call himself that anymore.
Yeah. And these various podcasts, I discovered another podcast I found him on. These various podcasts that he go on where they allow him to go, wow, buck, wow. I think he's becoming addicted to it, right? That feeds into this ideology that I am the greatest because, see, everybody is bringing me on their podcast.
Yeah, he wants to be like Malcolm X or Muhammad Ali. Oh my God, Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King. That's what he wants to be like. Yeah.
And he has this crazy. I was doing some more research about how the Frederick Douglass family members told him to stop it with all that. I'm related to him. Yeah. In this, I found a podcast that he did 7 days ago, and on the podcast, he's literally telling the guy on the podcast, yeah, I'm related to Frederick Douglass. I'm a kin. I'm a this. And he's been told to stop saying that. And he was going in on how he's related. This obsession that he has with Frederick Douglass. And I wonder, I had said this on my video. I wonder if the family could file something against him because he's using their family member's name as part of his marketing for this school, for a school that does not exist. And if I was related, I would be like, I'm filing a lawsuit.
And his likeness. And his likeness.
Switched the name around.
Okay.
He says the name correctly, but when it's written on paper, the name is mixed around. It's not Frederick Douglass. It's Frederick Marcus Garvey Douglass, something crazy.
Right, but he's always using the intellectual property, which would be the image of Frederick Douglass. Yeah. And so check it out. It's like this. If the family has already got documentation that they told him to cease and exist from, doing what he's doing, and he's constantly saying the man's name in reference to the school and using his images to promote a school, I would think that the family could really shut him down a little bit with using the intellectual property, that being Frederick Douglass imaging. And I would think that they would be able to say, wait a minute, we've already served this man a letter to stop what he's doing. And he constantly keeps using our father, our great father name out of his mouth. Because I know if it was me, I would be trying to shut it down.
I know that someone gave him paperwork to stop going to the cemeteries.
Let me ask you. So the Douglass family has a cease and desist. They let's say they succeed in legal action of not allowing Umar to use the name or the likeness. Do you think Umar rebrands?
I think he rebrands it because every time when he comes back, every year he comes back, he's saying his name differently.
Mm-mm.
He's doing something different. There's
Right.
always something added to it or taken away. It's really weird. But even when I met him, he wasn't calling himself. He was. I don't even think his name was Umar. I can't remember what his name was.
Mm.
I really can't. I really don't remember. I can't remember what his name was when I first met him. I don't think I really paid attention to his name, to tell you the truth. But
Right.
he was a because like I said, he was much younger than me, and I really wasn't interested in him, and he was goofy and loud. I
Yeah.
don't like goofy loud men.
Yeah.
And that's how he was. He was just, like, look at me, I'm here, pay attention to what I'm saying, kind of a thing. And like I said, I didn't think what he was saying was wrong, but it just didn't apply to me. And he thought that because I'm a person, a single mother to a man, that's in prison, that I should be down with everything that he was saying. But I'm a educated woman, and I was in the Navy and everything. It wasn't what my children's father did doesn't apply to what I do. Matter of fact, I was in school while I was talking, to him at that time. I was trying to get away from him because I wanted to get out of here because I had to go do some schoolwork. I want to get my kids, leaving it with my grandfather. Can I get away from you? Bye. I'm going upstairs.
But at one time, you would say, Bernice, you were kind of open maybe to some of his ideas.
Because there weren't bad ideas. Like I said, what he does is that he takes the black, what everybody is crying about as being black,
Right.
what applies
Right.
to us, whether you're from the islands, whether you're from the city, whether you're from the country. He takes wherever he's at that time, he takes your plight and he applies it to you at that time, whatever
So,
he's talking.
right, I get that. I don't want to go into that so much, but
Mm-hmm.
and thank you for your service. Emmanuel Briggs says also, me too.
Thank you.
I want to get into the part of what it was specifically that you started looking at him sideways a little bit, and you were like, and that completely pushed you away.
Because he kept with the thing with the parents in jail with stuff, and I told him, I said, I really don't really want to get into that,
Okay.
because I know some people are in jail that everybody in jail is not guilty. But
Yeah.
at that time, I knew he was guilty, and I just
Yeah.
didn't want to bother with him. You know what I'm saying? I was doing matter of fact, my sons are very well. One is a welder, and one is, he's working, he's 22 and he's been working since he graduated high school. And the boy never was out without a job. Sometimes I don't even know where he's working, but he's always working.
Right.
So, they have that mindset where they're doing great, and I'm grateful for it. I've never had problems with them in the streets, and I did my best to keep them from that. And I really don't care about him being in jail. If I knew that he was in jail for something that he didn't do, maybe I would have seen it a different way. But he was an idiot. So, I'm not going to, promote that. Right now, this man has 20 children. Okay. And he's only 57 years old. Okay. So y'all think about that.
Who is that?
Real bad man.
Well, the thing was, he was a bodyguard for a lot of rappers and stuff like that, and he just, as you travel, you do what you do. So I knew him since I was 18 years old, and we parted ways. And I don't hate him or anything like that, but we just couldn't do it. Wasn't my lifestyle. I'm not Little Kim or nothing like that.
That makes sense. Emmanuel asked, did someone speak to Umar's father and made reference to the type of possible mental illness? And I believe just around the board, there's some sort of implied, notion that there is a mental. It's within his actions. It's in the mood swings that we see with him. Right.
I think he said, I forgot, it was something that he mentioned that he had. It's something that he's always saying that he's angry about when they apply it to children. It's
Right.
I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't get it right now.
When he's doing
But
the
he's
projection, right?
right.
It's
Yeah.
very much, but he's talking. He seems like he has disdain and he's condemning other parents, but it's exactly the situation he's in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's weird, and there's no doubt. You can't put the cloak over somebody and say they're intelligent. It's proven that there are 7, 8, 9 different types of intelligence.
Intelligence. Yes.
Umar definitely has a particular type of intelligence with what he's able to regurgitate, to a certain extent, a orator, right? But beyond that, just regular information, social circumstances and situations, not being able to keep his ego in a cage, which is the unraveling for a lot of people, right? They get too big for their britches. They let their ego get out of hand. One of the things I think, Info Man, you were saying earlier, when he has those delusions of grandeur, and where we are, we could read about our heroes and history. It took time to lay down, the groundwork. Like I was speaking about Huey P. Newton and that interview. After the smoke clears, the dust settles, you have a clear vision and you could really cement your legacy and speak about those things, retrospectively. Umar wants to create that sort of legacy before he's even really done the work.
Yeah.
He wants all that notoriety, all that fame, and that's where the ego kicks in.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what it
And,
is.
and hasn't helped one boy, not one, not an online class. You would think there'd be a FDMG online something.
Right. But I think that's part of he's a very insecure man.
Yes.
And that's why he needs these grandiose, he has to be seen as a grand person. And he uses a lot of grandiose ideations. In my opinion, from just observing his behavior and what I've seen with people that I've dealt with, he appears like he has a personality disorder, because when you have a personality disorder, you have a hard time dealing with reality. You have mood swings. People that have these conditions, they really should be on a mood stabilizer, because you notice on that latest video how he would say to my Africans, my African people, my black people. One minute he's praising black people all over the world. The next minute he's like, y'all, you best to pay me. You best to give me some donations. And don't you think about coming to the school when it opens. And it's crazy because he doesn't have anything going on.
Yeah,
So
well,
he talks down to his supporters.
That's what the 5%ers do. They stand out there with their little cardboard signs. To this day, they still do that. And they would have their beads on and their African stuff, and they're yelling and screaming at people. And like I'm saying, I'm not saying some of the stuff that they saying is not right, but the way you're presenting it to people is kind of harsh. It's a tough pill to swallow. And they just crazy, it seems to me. I don't understand how they can get up every day and actually, feel confident about yelling this stuff at people, and say okay, it's a religion because they do it every day. Anything that you do faithfully, every religion, but it's almost like a cult. That's what they're not seeing. Like Dr. York, he went to jail for a reason. Why would you still want to speak the same stuff that he's speaking, and he went to jail for that stuff, for practicing that stuff? Why would you want to keep that going? And Polite, he got so far gone in his head that he actually hurt a little girl, and he's in prison right now, and actually tried to spew his mess from the prison. They had to stop him. When do they understand that they need to stop? I don't understand it. Umar, everywhere he goes, like I said, he picks the fight. and he'll see what your problem is, and he'll yell and scream at you about it, like it's your fault.
Yeah.
And it's
and
crazy.
on that note, also, what this all has me thinking about is he has an abusive relationship with his donors and supporters.
Yes, he does.
We see everything. We see the next day coming back apologetic, a little more calm. Umar making promises of what he's going to do, to rectify the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't get what he wants. Then the anger again. The whole cycle of the whole thing is abusive, which I think either way, it goes from one thing to the other, is probably the way he treats women and the mother of his children. Mm-hmm. Probably why they're not in each other's lives, because of that sort of abusive behavior.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've never heard him say anything good about his mother. He shed a few tears when his grandmother passed away, but I've never heard him say anything good about his mother.
Yeah, I don't even want to, you want to think that the guy is being genuine, but kind of like I think a crocodile tears, just to, trying to solicit emotions from people, another ploy from him, because it seems like he doesn't love anything or anybody. He loves the notoriety.
Right.
He loves a little bit of fame that he has.
That's what I said. I don't think he really is concentrating on anything but the fact that, he wants to go back to Africa. He said he's a native of, I forgot,
Ghana
right now, of some part of Africa.
Think about why he may want to go to Africa, because he may like the way he's being treated over there. They may be treating him like he's a special person.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's exactly what it is.
There's no criticisms of him over there, just acceptance. I don't know. Don't they have the internet over there, man? So.
But this is the thing that really disturbs me. I feel like, wow, don't people do research on on him? Because he's going from podcast to podcast. I guess supposedly they're paying him money. He's going to these, I think he went to Tennessee State Historical Black College. I feel like something's wrong when our people are not doing their due diligence to at least check some things up. About this guy. And I feel like there's a lot of people that may be blind to what he really is, or they don't care because they know that it's going to get them a lot of views and a lot of attention because they've got him on their show or at their school. I don't know. Especially the colleges, you would think that the professors and the deans of the school would do some diligence on this guy. I don't know.
You say that, you know what? I got a confession. I have
Okay.
I'm trying to think. I think it was Christmas time. All right. Went out to dinner with my family. It's my pops, nephew, a couple of kids around and stuff. Me and my sister, we've never had a great relationship by any means. But, we go to this restaurant and we bring everybody there and stuff, and we start talking. But I find out my sister likes Umar.
Oh no!
I'm sorry about to hear that. I'm sorry, golly. Wait. She needs to be baptized, saved, or something.
Let me tell you, my sister is an intelligent person.
She needs to be saved, sir.
We start talking. This is no reflection on me, all right? By the way, all right? Don't be looking at me sideways when I come into your chat.
Nah, no. I get it, man,
But I didn't know, because we're really not that close. We talk maybe every couple months or whatever the deal is. But whatever we're talking about online, she's like, yeah. Have you heard of Dr. Umar? I'm like, what? So I had to break down at the dinner table at the restaurant. Say again?
Does she have children?
Yeah, my nephew. She's got one kid, and
how old is he?
He is 14 now.
Oh,
he goes to a private school. He's not in all that. but I didn't do quite a debate with her. I just gave her enough facts to be like, you got to look this up. Like he's full of shit. But here I am, you know, and I'm in the chat rooms. I'm like, yeah, Umar ain't shit, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. And somebody like my sister, who is a smart woman, like, and successful at that. And I'm like, I drove away from that dinner like, I can't believe this shit. Like, I
got
can't.
one better for you. I was talking to my therapist, and I found out that she followed him because of all of the positive talking that he did about Haiti.
Yeah, for my sister, it was she liked his militancy on a certain things, but I had to ask her, like, but what did he do? You know, he doesn't have receipts for or success for anything.
He hasn't done anything. I haven't seen anything. I don't even know if he even took the children up to the prisons to see their fathers. This is how much I don't think he's done anything. I don't think he's done anything.
At all. This is what he does. He scams to make a living, and he's addicted to the high life of it, and that's his life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
I have a question I want to ask as I get ready to drop off the panel tonight. I know Honors has talked about this. Several people have talked about this, but how long? You're right. It's like a drug for him, right? The attention. You can even tell when he turns on his Instagram and he sits there for a while to watch people come in. He's completely addicted to stuff. But how long, realistically? It's been 6 years since he's had the buildings. He's been running this thing since overall 20 years, I believe. How long can he continue what he's doing before he burns and crashes? How long do you think he can continue? I mean, he's already proven that he's got some long-standing ability, but how much longer can this train keep on the tracks without it falling off the damn tracks?
I think it done fell off the tracks a few times already.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't. It's tough because obviously he has his supporter. He has some sort of support that he's getting. I believe a lot of it is a facade. Like things, even from our perspective, they're not good. But even from his perspective, they're worse. I think because of his ego, he doesn't stay grounded at all. So there's nothing realistic from his perspective about what he's doing. If we're talking about him crumbling as an individual versus the elements around him, might be two conversations, because one will have to have. I think his ego would be the last thing to fall if it does. In terms of time, I think we look at any of the legal things we were talking about, like the Douglas family maybe taking away the name. We saw KKC post the 2028 city program that doesn't include FDMG. You know, so it's 2025, maybe, and some might think it's this is generous. Some people might not think this is enough. I am going to look at 2029 for a complete collapse. I don't think it's going to happen by then.
I said 2030, so you're being generous. I said 2030.
That's when I think, because I think the paperwork is going to cave in to hit his ego by that time.
I wanted to chime in real quick. I'm in the background. This is a great conversation. I got hiccups. I'm coughing, so I had to turn my camera off. And my salute to you, beautiful Bearnice, and information man, for coming through.
Oh, thank you.
But
Thank you.
I think once he survived that Kobe Bryant rant and he looked crazy, and like if you didn't run from him after that, those people are just gonna be there. And he's always going to have like a little niche, you know, maybe he won't be as big, but he'll find little churches and little pockets where he can still you know, because he's a good orator. And I always felt like if he had the right team behind him, he would be a good front man, a good fundraiser. But the execution of the actual school and business, he should, excuse me, he should leave to somebody else. I'm going to get out of here because I can't even stop doing it.
But that's the same thing that Lord Jamal said to him on that podcast that couple years ago. He said, "Hey, you might be good at the teaching and the educational point of view, but you may need help with the real estate, because really what he's endeavoring in is real estate, and I don't think he knows what he's doing from a real estate point of view." And I'm gonna leave with these words: this isn't a disaster at the end of the day because he has not allowed himself to be. He has not been transparent. He's not really bringing in real people who are expert or at expertise at knowing how to deal with real estate, how to deal with restoring buildings. He doesn't have real people because why? We already know. Because he would have to show the books. He would have to be transparent, the whole 9 yards. If Umar Johnson was really serious about getting this school off the ground, we would see more professional people involved up there, and he would not be turning away people who have volunteered their time. And it's another thing that's obvious to me is that he doesn't really have black male support like we think, because every time you see someone working, he's using the women. He's got women up there doing work that should be done by men. No, not to say that women can't paint and do sort of things like that. Right. But I just think from a male point of view, from a male ideology, you need to have the men do the hard labor. Mm-hmm. And if he really truly had a legion of brothers that support what he's doing, we know that women are his biggest supporters. The fact that you don't see any men up there, guys with hard hats, people that are contractors, that tells you everything you need to know that he cannot get this school off the ground because he's too arrogant. I believe, and I've said this, I believe if Umar Johnson would come clean and tell black people, I have effed up, I have effed up, and I'm laying on y'all right now to forgive me for my F ups. I need help, please. I need people to help me. I let my arrogance get in the way. All the shit that Umar Johnson's been doing all these years, you'll be surprised how many black people would forgive him, give him a second chance, if he would humble himself and say, I need help. This is why the school hasn't been open. I've been messing up, y'all. I've been using some of the money because I'm struggling. If we wouldn't like it, but if he told us the truth, I think we would have a different perspective about Umar if he would just be clean, come clean and say, I've got problems. Shit, we all got problems.
Yes.
Hey, thank you. Thank you once again, everybody. And beautiful Bearnice, thank you for your support coming to my channel like you do. I really appreciate that. You guys have been nothing but fantastic. So have a great weekend, y'all. I might go live either on one of my channels on Saturday. But everybody, thank you.
All right, we will definitely be there, and thank you so much for information, man. Not just for today, but the past help that you've given us, and I'm speaking for all of us, myself as well, and just being supportive as we couldn't be supportive of you, if the feeling wasn't mutual, also, man. So we appreciate you, and we'll continue to do that. Mm-hmm. The beautiful Bearnice. I probably I don't know, probably gonna stop soon here.
Yeah, well, I just want to leave with saying I think that Umar is just a piece of crap. I don't think he's gonna get anything done. No, I really don't think he's gonna get anything done. He's been doing, he started this school, was supposed to be an all-boys school. It went from being an all-boys school to being a place where he just was trying to fix up and paint yellow like a urinal. He went from that to having parent teacher conferences and using all the money up to traveling all over the place. He's not going to ever get anything done. He's just a piece of crap. But thank you for me. Come up here and talk with you. I'm going to go to sleep now.
I'm going to be following suit.
Wonderful evening. And nice talking to you. Love, peace, and teddy bears.
Appreciate it, and always appreciate you seeing around. Say
What
say
is your
again.
name? What is your
Like
name?
my real name?
Yeah.
I can't say that.
Oh. Okay.
I
Bye.
I'm just too private right now for a couple of reasons. So I'm gonna
No
keep that.
problem.
You know what I'm saying. I appreciate you and definitely seeing you around. The vibe that you bring is always positive and encouraging and warm. So please keep that up and definitely appreciate having you around, man.
Okay. Thank you so much. Love,
All
peace,
right.
and bye bye.
Definitely. Bye-bye. All right, folks. Wow. Jeez. I gotta take today in, man. I couldn't have asked for a better podcast. You know what's funny? We were talking about the schedules and the bullet points of things that you write down and all of that. Nothing I planned to talk about today. We didn't get to, which is okay. Which is okay because a lot of people came through and we've had one of the best conversations that I think we've had so far on this. Man, I want to thank people, but you know what, man? I don't even know. I better not forget anybody. So let me get to this as we are just about to shut it down. Man, this was a really good show. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, man. I can't say that enough. Thank you for everybody, man. It's cool for everybody coming up. And this is kind of what we were talking about when I was on a Brother of a Certain Age podcast last night. You know, being encouraged to do this, having a community, you know, having a little bit of a therapy at that, you know, the spreading of ideas, of thoughts, having those conversations. Man, I can't even tell you for so many reasons why tonight was just an amazing night. Yes, all of you guys. I mean, I came in here like, whew, it's the end of the week. You know, kick my ass. I said I was tired. I needed to decompress. You know, I wanted to go through some stuff. I even purposely, the things that I selected, wanted to make a little lighter than last week's or some of the content that I put out. Because I was like, you know what, man, I just want to like chat it up or, you know, bring out some other stuff. So I even plan to have some lighter material for you guys, man. And you can never really predict what's going to happen. So, man, I just hopefully get the names right of everybody as I'm going to close this out. You've been checking out Last Call's podcast, man. And again, try to do one of these a week. Done a couple Fridays. They've turned out pretty good. So we'll see how that goes. I drop about one video a week on maybe a current event or one of those hot button issues they say on social media or YouTube. You know, I'm not a social media guy. And I try to dig in the crates so you guys could check something out, man, you know. And it's all within the community. Gotta give you a little Sly and the Family Stone. Thanks for letting me be myself. Dropping this information. And talk to you guys. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate that. If I go to the top, homeboy Tiz from the Partners, he dropped in to check on me earlier. Definitely appreciate that. Make sure you go out and check out his podcast. They're going live tomorrow. Manuel Briggs. I think he's one of the originals in the house as well. A brother of a certain age. Thank you. Of course. The beautiful Bearnice in the house. You see the beautiful Bearnice everywhere, don't you? She's just great support, great person to talk to. She's amazing. Definitely great. I'm grateful to be on her good side. Stefanie Collins with great professional legal advice and insight as well. Man, just some good stuff. We had YM come through. We had KKC coming to my little station, my little house over here. And of course, can't thank enough. All the things we said about you are true information, man. We do appreciate you and the content that you put out as we all continue to support each other. We will continue to do that, man. I gotta tell you, man, it is good being part of a community like this, you know? The grown folks. This is what grown folks do. Gotta have good conversations, talk to each other, spread our ideas, articulate ourselves. All right, folks, we got another one done. Can't thank you enough. Peace. Thank you.